Okay. Just checking everything. It said my mic disconnected, so I'm just trying to. I had to move that. It was like so hot there. I'll be right back then. Okay. Right. Finally, I just set this up, so I was testing it, but I'm just about ready to go get my water and like just check or like turn off a couple lights upstairs. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I'm like trying to get adjusted because this is so freaking hot up there where I usually do it. Okay. Oh shit! I'm back. I tried to make. Oh, I got two things playing. Oh yeah, because I put it on there to see comments. Okay. Let me make sure that's off now. So, anyways, I'm here. Sorry, I really could not believe that the internet went out right before, and it was just like, so I called, and it was like a bunch of houses, like, around, so they like kind of hurried because it was like urgent, So I kind of want to, yeah. Do you guys want me to post the link, or let me do this real quick? I'm gonna try to put on some headphones because I noticed that like sitting in the same place for like hours is like very difficult. I mean, I already knew that, but um, I haven't been doing it, so it's kind of like I might try to like cam down some night, especially if nobody else is on the cam, and then just you know kind of be more mobile. But let me see if this will post this link. I don't know why it won't. I did this yesterday too. I copied it. Try again. Oh, so annoying. Try. I tried right click and like just holding it down. What the hell's going on? I don't know what to do. Let me try. Well, I guess I can't put it in private chat. That doesn't work. Sorry, hold on. I'm gonna try to go down to the studio, come back. Well, I know. I mean, I will if other people are, but I just don't like being the only one. So, give me just 1 second. Fix this copy and paste thing. Okay, that was weird. It was like all the way at the top left of my really. So anyway, okay, yeah, it's kind of dark in here. I was gonna try to fix the lighting a little bit, but I'm not sure what. Maybe a lamp or something. So yeah, I'll just leave that there while I try to fix it, and then if anybody wants to come up when I come back, I'll just let you guys. But yeah, Lionel, I'll explain to you when you come up. Because the problem is sitting here for like ever gets like boring. Well, not boring like conversation, but I don't know. I'm like way too ADHD. Plus the chair, it's I'm sitting in like a bar stool, like a wood. I don't want to sit for like hours, but oh, Lionel, you're here. Okay. Okay. Hi. See this chair? I gotta. It's annoying. Are you there?
I'm here.
I think you
I'm
might
at work.
be, or maybe my thing. Hold on. It's probably my speaker. One sec.
Man, we gotta drop a cash app for Blue Jay. Get her studio up. I be looking at her place thinking she that rich white woman, but we gotta help her get that studio up.
Hey. Okay. Sorry. Hey, Trace. What's up? Thank you. Yeah. No. The top level looks like a loft. It gets really hot because can't get like a the heat rises up. So, but yeah. Anyway, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, I had it muted because yesterday, like after the stream ended, Denison and Josh were talking for a minute, so I muted it and like just left my computer going for them. Thanks, Jerry. But anyway, I forgot it was still muted. So anyway, but yeah, I can kind of do a mixture of like the cam and off because then I can like move around and stuff. Plus, if nobody else on the camera, it's kind of just feels weird. I don't know. So,
Yeah,
uh,
give me an hour and nah, give me 2 hours. I'll be up
okay, that works.
because
Yeah,
you can have my camera on, but you'll just be looking at the store.
yeah, no, it's totally fine. I get it. Well, maybe I can just like, should I just see if anybody like wants to join, and if so, I'll keep it going. Otherwise, maybe I'll just come back in a minute. I don't know.
No,
I don't.
no, do your
I don't
thing.
want to start the topic because I didn't pull up all the tabs. Like I was prepared, and then I got irritated, and so now I'm just like, I don't want to start it this late again. So I'm just gonna like probably do it Sunday, but I'm
Then
down
read
to
it.
like maybe come up with we can come up with something or just like whatever someone suggests a subject or not even
Okay.
like a continuation even. I don't care, but it's whatever.
Well, what's been going on in your week so far?
Well, I mean, my kids are out of school, so they were with me like all week. So I just like hang out with them a lot and stuff, drive them around, and but they went back to their dad's today. So yeah, so I was like, okay, nothing's gonna be able to like interrupt. I have everything ready. I'm gonna be on time. I'm, like already early, and then like I go to plug in. I'm like, what's going on? And it was just like because I didn't realize it on my phone because it uses like a data plan, of course. So you got to work in 6 hours, Jury. Yeah, I know it's late. It wasn't my intention, but if you want to come back, I mean, not saying like get out of here by any means, but like if you wanted to come back Sunday, I'm doing it like 3 hours earlier. So God permits. It seems like
What have you learned this week from your streams?
hmm, well, I learned something like I've learned a bunch of stuff, but one of the biggest things I've noticed is like the transition time to pulling stuff up and like is kind of a challenge, but I always try to like get stuff prepared in advance. I haven't done that yet because I was late. Was running late yesterday, but that's the plan. So I think that will help. Other than that, I mean, I noticed that the conversations can sort of take like a turn real quick. That's right. Oh my gosh. When my son's getting a car, he's gonna be driving. He could have drove a year ago, but he just didn't want to. But now, like my parents are getting him a car, so he's gonna have to. They're like trying to nudge him along. Come on, like he's just chill. He's like, yeah, I don't care. I get rides wherever I need to go. So he's funny. My other son, the younger one, he'll like back out my car and have it like moved before we like I come outside. He's like can't wait to drive. So it's kind of funny, and he's young. But anyway, okay, well, yeah, I'll just give it a minute, Lena. I'll just check back, and then like if anybody comes, maybe they will comment. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just leave. Like I might be able to.
I
Well,
actually
no,
do
never
got
mind.
some videos.
Uh,
Uh, I do got some videos to share.
Okay.
Um, you got to give me a
Do you
second.
want to just send them? Put them in the private chat, and then when we come back, they'll still be there.
Give me a second.
Well, I'm gonna keep it going. So yeah, I'm gonna trust since it's just us right now. I'm gonna test these headphones and see if I can do them. Otherwise, I could do it now on my iPad. I just didn't want to use up all my hotspot because I could have done it on my iPad earlier too. But I'm like, I'll have to get on my phone hotspot, and that will like use up all the data. So I was like,
Actually, Jerice, that's a good question. One
what?
of my associates, he was just telling me about his marriage and how he just wanted to vent, real talk. But he was talking about how he was listening to the news and how our conversations in the black community have spread over to the white community. And they're hearing a bunch of the women basically complaining about what the men aren't doing. And
He's
then he's telling me all the stuff that he's doing, but apparently no one's asking the men, are you happy? And this is a 60-year-old white guy,
maybe
and
check.
he's saying that stuff also.
Okay, wait. So the guys are the ones that are complaining? The white
No,
men?
no, no. He's saying that the women are complaining. He's hearing a whole bunch of white women complaining. And he's like, all this stuff he be hearing me listen to overnight. So that's why he brought it up to me. Because he's
So
hearing a
they're
bunch of them.
complaining that the men don't do what?
Basically, that the men don't have careers, that the men want to be at home playing video games, that that the men, basically the complaints you'll hear on Hamp's channel from all those women. That's what they're complaining about. That's what he was trying to tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have been alongside the whole time. They just probably weren't like have same way like there wasn't a platform for it. Now there is.
But let me know, a lot of these white guys, I'm putting it that way because that's what they are. They're not like listening to red pill content. They're not in the manosphere. They're barely on the internet. But they talk exactly the same as these guys online. Which is why I've always said,
Anyway,
these men have been saying all of the stuff y'all are hearing. Women just weren't listening.
okay. I don't know if you can hear me through my headphones or through my speaker.
Oh,
So I'm
we
trying
hear
to
you. You're kind of low.
yeah, I'm just trying to put it on my speaker, so that's why I'm calmed down. So I'm like going through all the buttons. But,
You're fine.
I'm sitting by the laptop, so you would hear me either way. Okay, yeah, I am on it. Okay, cool. That way I can like, move around a little bit too. So you think that it's caused by like black community making it more like public or like it's contagious, basically, or do you
I,
think it was just already there and now they just were like, hey, yeah, we can say that too.
well, it's kind of like what Joshua brought up with the racism thing the other day. It's only
Mm-hmm.
that we're just talking about it more. It's more exposure. And I mean, I be in the white sector. I mean, the whatever podcast is a whole white sector. And it's just nothing but white people and Asians basically talking about the same stuff you hear the black people talking about.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I gotta shout, speak. Yeah. Hey. Oh, that one's for Teresa. I clicked the wrong, but that's okay. Yeah. Speak if you're still here. I just started it maybe like a couple weeks ago, I think, and it's kind of a nerdy channel, so it's not dramatic, but it's cool. I like it. We've been having really good conversations about like all kinds of stuff, mostly like science and philosophy, but we get some like humor in there too, right? But yeah, if you're around, I'm gonna do a panel in not too long, closer to when Lionel gets off work. But yeah. Um. Oh, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just, in case he was like
No,
leaving,
no,
I had to
no.
say something.
No, you're
I love
fine. You're
speak.
fine. I just thought that was very interesting that he just came up to me and he wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so take me back to the beginning. Who was this person? Like, I got the concept of what they said, but who were they? How do you know
Oh,
them?
it's just an older gentleman. He's 60 years old.
And he told you the women are complaining a lot,
Yeah.
and then you drew the conclusion that it's like contagious, or did he say something regarding that?
Oh, no, he said it.
Oh, he did. That's weird.
Because he hears the stuff that I listen to overnight. And, well, I mean, everybody does. But,
Oh, so he's just assuming, probably,
um,
because if he doesn't listen, if he hadn't heard it before and he only overhears you, but he doesn't like have subscriptions and stuff, then he wouldn't have heard it.
no, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, a lot of the male talking points, as we like to call them, that we hear from these men, these guys at this place, they're not in that field. They barely even look at their phones. Like, my best workers here don't even bring their phone into the store. Like, they're not,
Okay.
they work during the day, they work during the night, they don't have time for all that. But they have the same talking points, just different wording. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And they got the same complaints for the women. that you would hear the guys online talking about. These guys, again,
Yeah.
aren't in these spaces. And if you talk to them, they will tell you the same thing the guys online are telling you about single mothers or what they have to do or having the woman basically not putting in enough effort. And these guys are all married. All they do is
Oh,
complain
really?
about their wives. All of them, 20 plus
Mm.
years. All they do is complain about their wives.
That's normal, I think. That's kind of like the what was that show with Al Bundy? You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of like an old like
And see,
joke,
look how
but it's
long
kind of true too.
and look how long that's been. That's the 80s. That was the
Yeah, it's been
80s.
going on probably since men and women were around, I would think. But
I
yeah, I don't
literally.
think it has anything to do with race. I think
Oh
that's
no
just
no no
men
no
and
no oh, no
women.
no no! Don't take the race out of it. Nothing to do with race.
Oh, okay.
The only reason
Well, I thought you meant that like it's perpetuating it, not
no
okay.
he was that was actually more of a joke he was making, but he's
Oh,
already
okay.
talked to me about this before. Yeah, don't bring this. The race is irrelevant.
Okay.
I literally had an associate the other day, and I kid you not. I'm sitting here, I'm coming out the back room. He's coming in because he's just clocking in. First words that come out of his mouth, don't get married. I'm like, dude, you've been married for 20 years. Don't get married.
Well, it makes you wonder if somebody told him that and he did it anyway. So it's like, can you really tell people not to get married? That's such
Oh,
an
no.
ingrained, like deep rooted value if you have it or not. Like, you know, just, oh, okay, some random told me not to get married. I guess I won't. Like,
Oh,
you know
all
what I
these
mean?
I mean, real talk. Like, I'm not trying to have these guys start any conversations because if I start making them talk, then they're not going to work. But almost every one of them in here has told me the same thing. Don't get married.
That's funny. Why? What's their main reason?
Main reason, y'all are headaches.
Oh, are these earrings loud?
No, they're fine.
Okay. I know that happened before, but so sorry. What was it? The main
Oh, wait,
reason?
wait. Oh, no. They're just saying don't get married because women are headaches. Women
I know.
don't care about their husband's happiness. They just care about what the husbands can do for them. Women think they know what makes the men happy, but they really don't because they don't have honest conversations.
So it goes both ways. Yeah. I mean,
I'm
relationships are
not.
hard. Nobody's
I'm
been.
just.
I wouldn't deny that ever.
So yeah, that's. I do
It's
have a
just
question though. I got a question. This is sort
okay.
of. Why is it that people who have, and I talked to Jerice about this. Why is it that the people who have the minority of experiences, why is it that their opinions often come off like it don't matter?
Well, I think that's kind of self-explanatory.
Well,
I'm
because
not saying that they can't observe, but I'm just saying people have a tendency to believe more experience in
so
any field or.
I'll give you an example. So if I'm listening to these male figures talk about how you should have your father in your life, women should have, they should make good with the baby dad, everything should be good. But then I tell people my experience. Now all of a sudden we can't talk about your situation. You're the minority. So I don't get
You
advice.
mean like raising your siblings? Is that
No,
kind
no,
of
no.
like
Me. No, I'm talking about my situation.
okay? Can you go into a little bit more
So
detail what you mean?
because again, I was born to an 11-year-old from a violent
Yeah,
attack.
right.
So for me to sit there and tell my mom, you know what, you should find that guy who did that to you and make him a father. Because these guys are saying you need the father in
Oh,
life.
well, that I mean, I think it's completely different. That's
No, no,
like
no. Wait,
that's a
that's
crime.
what I'm saying. My situation will literally get minimalized. It gets dismissed because, oh, it's extreme. That's the minority. So no advice comes my way.
No, I don't think it's that. It's that it wasn't consensual. I
But
mean,
I'm
if two
letting you
people have a
know
baby,
that's what happens, though.
right? But I can understand why that they would say, of course, she shouldn't have tried to make it work with the father because she was a victim of a crime. So I don't think it's just discounting that. Like,
Okay, so,
I think it's just it's a completely like different category of
but So let me know. My life has been extreme after extreme, or situation after situation, which falls into what people call a minority situation, because the minority of these people only experience certain things like this, or at least in
I don't
this
think it's
country.
a minority in the same category. It's in a completely different category.
But that's what I'm
So,
saying. But I don't get the same level of advice or any at all. It just completely gets shut down. Either they'll
oh,
ask
I
questions
see. Okay. What
or
you're
it
so
gets
you're
shut
saying
down.
for like you having like the father's influence, like
It's not just
because
that. That's just an example, though.
right. Okay. So instead of them giving you the advice that like they give other people, they just kind of tell
You
you
get
like
nothing. It
sweep to this.
automatically be like, well, we're not talking about people like you, so we're not going to go there. So basically, my experiences literally don't. It's almost like they don't matter. There's no advice to be given there.
What advice do they give the guys that are not the minority?
What do you mean? Oh, go make it work with the baby dad, or go
Okay.
in this situation, or make sure that the father's in the picture. Make things like that, or you had a choice to make these actions happen.
Do they really have the authority to give you advice though? If they don't have the answer. I mean, obviously, the answer
I
is
never
quite
said
clear.
the
The answer is
authority.
clear as far as whether or not a victim should try to make it work with the what do you call it? It's like I don't even want to say abuser. It's worse than that. But obviously, that's not ever going to be recommended. But do they know what else like could have happened? I mean, how would they really know what to say?
Do we not have
Uh,
a bunch of false teachers that are online giving people all type of advice that pretty much aren't qualified to do it, but people listen anyway?
oh yeah, I mean they do. Unfortunately.
I'm just saying, like that's why. But when you look at that, or if again, and this ain't trying to make it about me, but at the same time, I've just noticed that when I start talking or giving my perspective on certain things, all of a sudden we can't talk about your situation.
So Drake's is saying lack of autonomy is the real reason for men, but nobody want to talk about that. Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
They just want to be free.
yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think some women feel that way too. Mostly, probably like if they already have kids. I think most are like younger women, obviously like seek a man or like a relationship, either very serious or married, so that they can have kids because it's like a natural instinct to have that urge. But I don't think men necessarily have that or as strong at least. But also, yeah, I think they're more freeing like nature because they're driven by opportunity. And if you're locked down, it's hard to take or find new opportunities. So they're natural, like they're like a hunter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
So that would make sense to me. But I guess in the past, why so many people got married, other than like financial aspect, would be just maybe because they felt it was the best thing for overall society, even though they wish they could be, the Lone Ranger that's like out and philanthroping, like or whatever, the eligible bachelor forever, but they kind of feel like a social duty to keep like structure in society. So that's
And a lot of them guys, and this is why I say women do not have honest conversations with men. A lot of these dudes are absolutely unhappy with who they're with. But we'll say they're such a good guy, they're doing their job. I've witnessed guys, women hype guys up. These guys will tell you how great it is, how beautiful it is to be a father, how great it is to be a husband. And then when you get them in the back room or when you get them outside, you go to the barbershop, basketball court, their story flips completely because the woman not around. Their story, and you could see the honesty in there. Even their micro expressions are telling you how honest they are. They are miserable. They're just doing it because it's a societal expectation.
Right. I mean, I could see that, but I bet if they didn't have it, they'd kind of long for like a family. So we always kind of want what we don't have. And then, also, they might not be so unhappy because she's a horrible wife. They
Oh,
might be
dude.
unhappy because they're feeling bored and stagnant and monotony. And so the routine is really kind of what makes them unhappy. And then it's really easy to blame someone else for our own unhappiness, or at
Yeah,
least,
no, I agree.
So I think women probably feel the same too. They're probably like, oh, I could be traveling the world if I would have got a different guy, or like, something. Who knows? But
Oh, most of my female friends are married. Most of them, and they tell me, as we would say, all the tea.
yeah, what did they say?
Well, they feel like they do so much work for their men, and they're just not appreciated for it.
Okay, that's pretty common.
That's ultimately what they say.
Okay.
Or don't get me wrong, because I've asked, now this ain't a lot of people, but on count 15 different women, and I've asked them, if your husband honestly was to say something about you, what would he say about you? I kid you not, every one of them said, I'm a burden.
Okay.
I couldn't believe this answer was that universal. These girls are in different states, different cities. All of them said the same thing. They would say their husband would call them a burden.
Okay.
I
Because
thought that
he's
was sad.
not free to do the just whatever he wants, kind of thing. Is that what they mean by that?
Oh no, they just felt like their husband would feel like, a few of them explained it more thoroughly. They just felt like their husbands feel like that they're actually holding them back,
Mm-hmm.
or I mean,
Like
they
dead weight.
realize, they see that the dudes aren't happy though. They do see that.
I think people go through that phase and then they get happy again. I think it's pretty normal to
I
like.
mean, it's an emotion. It's fleeting.
Well, I think you're still kind of like at that last stop where you're like, okay, maybe if I got divorced, or like I could still find them young enough or whatever. But then
Wow.
after a while, they realize how lucky they are to have like someone that's like so dedicated to them, and they like grow old and they're like see the grandkids together and all that, and then they're grateful again and they're super happy again. Like it's kind of more phases, I think.
It's
But I mean,
interesting. It's interesting. What are your thoughts on the current evolution, the current development of AI, and how fast it's moving?
I think it's dangerous. I mean, I feel like the fact that they're kind of doing their own thing without being programmed, like some of those robots, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, that's weird to me. And the fact that Elon Musk warned about that, and that's why he dipped out of that company that he had with the other guy that was pushing the limits too much. And so if he knows that it's like kind of a little bit like risky, then obviously, I mean, who if anyone would know what's in, that's my thought on that. He's pretty up to date. So,
I mean,
but yeah,
he just told everyone, if you have an iPhone, you ain't working for me.
eh?
Just point blank.
When did he say that? When he
He
first
just
bought
said
it?
it. He said it this week.
Oh
Had a
my
whole
gosh.
statement. He came out and was like, "You got an iPhone, you're not working for him
Why?
because of the new AI they're implementing on the iPhones."
Oh, they can get information too easily.
So he said, "Nah, he cutting that right now."
Okay, so it's still like sticking to his main free free speech
You
like
kind of scratchy.
hmm?
You kind of scratchy.
Oh, I am. Okay, hold on one second because I'm kind of far from my laptop. Much, so let me go grab it. Hold on, okay.
Not bring
Let
on
me,
my robot AI version of Blue Jay.
what?
No, Dory said bring on the robot AI version of Blue Jay. Dude,
All
that's
right.
serious though. That's coming.
You guys will be so tired of me. You
All
have
you
to
gotta do, All the
The
AI
mute
gotta do,
button.
all the AI gotta do is listen to a couple streams that you have been on, and that way it takes your voice. It tries to mimic your personality. We got the AI Blue Jay.
Okay, well, hopefully they can figure it out. 'Cause I haven't. But yeah, I know that's weird how they can, and I think even just like the general public can do that to people. It's not even
I
that
mean,
hard to do
do
something. I
y'all
think.
see? I mean, do you see how I brought it up the other day? But do you see how lazy we are in this country? And I don't try. I'm not trying to take nothing away from people who are working, but the level of ease that we have today, like, and now you have, well, the AI, the AI Blue Jay, to make things even easier for us now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess do they come up with original thoughts, or can they just like copy?
Let- let's put it this way. There's no reason for a lot of people to come up with original thoughts currently.
I'm gonna try to come back in through my. I'm gonna drop down out of the studio because I'm gonna try to get on my iPad.
Okay.
So that way it's easier to like move around. So let me see. Is that how you do it? Can I come from like one device to the other without like if I leave the studio
I think
and
you
leave the
can. I mean,
live
I've seen
going?
you do it.
Okay, I'm gonna try, and then if it disconnects for some reason, I'll just like start a new one back up.
Okay. Let's do so I can make it sound and look like Blue Jay. I mean, I guess I got the show right now. I just think it's an interesting situation that we are in currently. I'm here for it though. Although, if anyone saw that entire Microsoft exhibition a few weeks ago and compare it to the Apple exhibition, I mean, they going hard with it.
Hey, I think it worked.
Hey, I see you.
Okay, cool. Can you see me or just hear me?
I hear you, but you low.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I haven't switched the headphones over yet. So just one second.
Imagine a super red pilled Blue Jay. Is she not already kind of? I mean, she's kind of already red pilled. I mean, she may not admit that, but I hear a lot of the stuff she be saying, and it definitely sounds like she kind of red pilled.
Okay, is that better on sound?
It's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
Let
you.
me go to the settings, see if it's. I can maybe turn it up or something. Let's see. I don't know if that was the microphone volume. Is that any louder?
You're fine, Blue Jay.
Okay, cool. All right. I gotta shut down my laptop. But oh, okay, so I did kind of hear the end of what you were saying about being red pilled.
No,
Yeah,
Jerice made a comment. Imagine a super red pilled Blue Jay.
it's great. Just wait on him hand and foot. That's what he wants. No, I actually am pretty traditional, I guess. As far as the red pill, there are some things I disagree with them on, but I'd say I'm like halfway. Like I believe like I agree with about half of their talking points, maybe a little more than half. Depends on how extreme they are and how realistic. Some of them are just a little much, but yeah, Teresa's not that red pill. I was gonna say, I like saw he commented that. I'm like, what's he talking about? But yeah, he's kind of
But yeah, like
in between two,
you're gonna have to
barefoot
embrace
and
this
pregnant.
AI. Y'all gonna have to embrace the AI era because that's one of the major superpowers right now, and they going hard into it.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the videos kind of have that voice like talking. Who was it that was like kind of pissed about that the other day with that dentist? Somebody's mad. Like, oh my God, AI voice. Forget it. It's funny. Did it just go down? I can't hear anything now. Oh wait.
You hear me?
Oh yeah. Okay, never mind. I
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah,
Hold
like
on,
they
sorry.
have man. I mean, you have people in forums right now talking to AI people because they're lonely, having full blown conversations with them. They're using AI to be their comments in their comment area. They're using it for all type of things. That's just basic stuff, though.
Are you
They're,
serious? That's so
they're
dumb. I mean, they know, like, deep down, it's not a real person. There's no. It's
well,
interesting.
how many times? Let's be real. As much as you've been on these panels, how often do you hear people would say, "I don't talk to these people," or "I don't talk to a lot of people. I don't like having friends." People are literally telling you all the time how they're not talking with people or how they're tired of people. So guess what? Now, iRobot, they're going that direction.
Yeah, but I mean, well, I'm hitting button. Sorry. Um, I don't know how to comment. Like, it doesn't give me. I remember it did this to me last time too. Like, I want to respond to Dre's comment, but the problem is, it doesn't give me that little type box thing. So I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah, I guess if it's just like a temporary fix that you're just having this kind of like someone to confide in it and it's good enough. But I mean,
Throw them out. 16.
what?
My bad was telling somebody
Oh,
something.
you're talking to some. Okay, I figured. I just want to make sure. But yeah, um, juries is funny. Hey, if you, I think it's good when people identify if they don't want kids, and then at least they don't lead someone down, like like tricking somebody, and then change up on once you're married. Like, actually, no, I don't want kids. If you already know, and then you find someone that agrees, then perfect. Because I think most people know they want to have kids before they get married. They talk about and like how many kind of thing. So I don't see the difference.
Well, my only issue with the kid situation is when I hear people talk about legacy and they try to make that out to be like the reason you should have kids. But yet, when you go around talking to people, legacy is just nothing but, hey, I share this person's blood, but what real accomplishments or values have you actually brought to society or done anything with that namesake or blood? Most of these
Yeah,
people have.
well, I mean, if it's their dream, I guess, like, can't knock it. But I, so you don't believe them, is what you're saying, or you just think it's
No, I
some
don't. I
reason?
mean, there's no reason to believe them because you don't, even in mainstream stuff, you don't see this play out like that. Nine times
Like,
out of 10,
oh,
most
just people are
mainstream people,
average, you mean?
yeah, most, 9 times out of 10, most of the mainstream people that people idolize, they're not talking about their children.
I can actually comment on my phone since that's on my iPad. Yeah, I mean, I think people set out with that intention, but I think as you have kids and go through your career, you realize, wait, okay, it sounds as though those other people didn't want to, create wealth or, this set this like amazing legacy or whatever. It's just that it's hard to do. If it wasn't, more people would be able to do it. So maybe that's like their intention, and then they try as hard as they can, and then the outcome is just the outcome, you know. So Drew said they don't know the difference between lineage and legacy. Oh,
I
okay.
agree.
So passing down the seed type thing versus like creating a name, family name.
Like, I agree.
Okay. And so
Like,
is that
we're
what you
not,
think they mean when they say legacy? They mean like
I don't
just
think they know what they mean, if we're being honest.
this sounds good.
Because they're always trying to sell that argument on have kids, but they're not really giving you that importance on why. And I'm wrong, I talk to a bunch of parents who have children, but I always ask, what exactly are you carrying on? What are these kids, what are you leaving behind for these kids to carry on that'll make it worth it? Because if
Yeah,
you
you
tell
really
me
should
you
be
just
teaching
leaving a
them.
house behind, you can have that.
You need to teach them how to create, like make more with what you leave, not just like here's a gift and like squander it kind of thing. You have to teach them, okay, now you have this, so when you get if you decide to get a bigger house, just keep it as a rental, and then just teach them like how to create more. I think that's more important than what you give them.
Do you think that's what parents are doing?
No,
Okay, just curious.
yeah, no, I don't. And it should, in a perfect world, they should be. I don't think a lot of people even know how to do that because either they're not curious enough to research it, or because like if they didn't learn it from their own parents, or if they learn it from their own parents and they're just kind of spoiled, they just don't care because they've never had to suffer, so they just don't really understand like what all it took to build that. Teresa, it's because they had oops babies, just want to make themselves feel better. Um, what
Out.
what's because of that? You know what I mean? You think?
He's basically saying that I don't know why y'all gotta be so
Oh,
loud.
like they can be triumphant despite like a rough start
No,
kind of deal.
I mean, yeah, technically he's trying to say they just decided to get by, or these women just got pregnant, didn't commit to the guy enough, and
You cut out. I don't know if that was Teresa. Is he cutting out or is that just on my internet?
say it again.
I couldn't hear anything you
Say it
said, so I
again.
was just asking Teresa if he could hear you.
Oh, my bad.
It just cut
I
out for
was
a minute, but it
saying
could have been
that
mine.
they were no, it's probably me. I was going in the cooler. They was, you have a lot of these people who just having sex. They just shacking up. These girls are getting pregnant, or they're just getting pregnant to cross something off their list, basically, so they don't feel lonely, or so they can be happy. It's not like, oh, I'm getting married to have children, start a family, create something out of this. They just having babies.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, not on purpose, but yeah. Well, some of them not purpose, but not really trying hard not to, I guess, huh?
Or we're in this current era where I think it. So I had a conversation with my mom, and she was at work. Or my bad, she was working, but she was at a meeting, and she had hit me up because of the black girl from Boy Meets World, the girl that played Angela. I think that was Angela, and she got pregnant, 54, pregnant. And I said, that's stupid and reckless.
54. Oh, yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that. That's crazy.
And now some of the people around was overhearing this, and they was like, why would you say that? And I'm sitting here like, why does that make sense to you? 45, pregnant, you're putting your child
54,
in,
you mean?
yeah, 54,
That's so
pregnant,
old for that, okay.
you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation.
It's just,
Like,
well, you don't get that much time with a kid anyway. You can be like a really old
and
mom.
so that's the other thing I brought up because now we're entering the what I call the Matilda parents mentality. I'm right, you're wrong. The older you get, the more static your personality becomes. You're not fluid and adaptable, so you're not going to be able to resonate with your children the way you would if you was in your 20s, then 30s.
Hmm.
Now they didn't agree. Some of them didn't agree with this until we put them on the spot, and they
I
had to
agree with it.
they pretty much had to, a lot of them ended up realizing what I said was right because they reflected off of their own children.
Yeah, I think part of it is that they're so far apart, like generational, that they can't even
Yep.
relate at all. Like for instance, like I show my sons like new hip hop songs all the time because I love hip hop, and I'll like go on Instagram or YouTube or Apple Music, and I'm always looking for new stuff. Like I just listen to like tons of new stuff all the time. So, but if I was, 20 years older, I would have missed that era even. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So
I
to
know
me, I
exactly.
would have less to talk to them about or to like kind of bond about over. I mean, we could find other stuff, I guess, but Yeah, you kind of have to have fun the same ways and with your kids. Not like
And don't get me
entirely,
wrong.
but you know what I'm saying. Like I
Yeah,
would take them to the trampoline park in their little nights, like very like you know able to jump on all the trampolines too and play basketball, jump in the balls, all that stuff. You know what I mean? I was like plenty young enough to do all that, and that was just
and yeah, like
a few
don't get me
years ago.
wrong.
But like yeah, 20 years older, you start to get kind of too old. I
I,
don't know. And I'm not age shaming, by the way. It's just have a baby.
and I told I put my mom on the spot, and I was like, okay, you tell them your situation. Who are you the closest with? Me. Who are you the middle closest with? My brother. Oh my, hold on. Right there,
Okay.
yeah. And I was like, who are you the least closest with? Her daughter. She's as distant as basically your reflection in a pond on the earth and to the moon as she is with, that's where she is with her daughter. Like, they cannot connect with each other. They're just that distant. There's a
Yeah,
massive
it has a
gap.
fate, almost like you're kind of talking to someone in public, just courteous.
My bad, I
Like,
was multitasking.
oh, you're fine. I heard you on that last
But
part,
yeah,
but
like they're just that distant from each other. And she's 46, Lyric's 20, and she can't relate to her daughter.
oh, that's not that much. That's a normal
It's
amount of
not
age.
that much older, but
No, that
when
mid
you look
20s
at,
is like when you should have kids, in my opinion.
but here's the thing, like there's so she can't adapt anymore to her children effectively. Her mind is set
Right.
on all of them, so she can't really adapt to that.
Well, she can just as well as anybody else, but I mean, I don't think that that is reason enough to have children younger than
I think that's
20s.
a great reason
And it,
to
these
be
have to
able.
be in like your teens almost. I mean, I don't know. Seems like
Eh,
too.
okay, so I'll put it in a different perspective. I listen, being involved with the education system also. I listen to, and I don't, you don't have to take my word for it. You can just talk to random teachers. So many of these parents are pretty much telling you that they basically can't help their children with their homework, that they basically can't even help them with fundamentals. They're basically relying on the teachers, the ones who are literally trained to adapt to different children to do this stuff. And the
Yeah, but they
older
can
the parent,
research it on. Shouldn't they be able to? They should be able to like find help them access the information even if they don't know it at this point. I think it's
so
back then they couldn't before the internet. You really couldn't help kids unless you knew it. But or and you get a tutor. But now like you can kind of figure it out to some degree. But it's just so much time. I admit I don't sit down with my kids and do
if
homework
you
with them.
just
But
spend so much time when we have
yeah,
more time today than
if
what
my
we
kids
had.
were struggling, I would, but they haven't really needed me to, so maybe that's why. But I would just let them fail. But at the same time, they know what they like. If they're listening and they read books, they know more than I do. So, but again, I mean that's a situation where my kids have been self-sufficient in terms of like school and homework and all that. Unless it
So,
was like a science project or something, I'd help them with, you know. But
so the one thing they tell you is that the older the parents are, the harder it is for the parents to actually help you do the homework or help you do a lot of the tasks that we're supposed to send you at home. And that's because the older you get, the more static your mind becomes.
I guess it depends on the child's age too. Um, Younger children, yes, but I read a lot to my children. They're babies, toddlers, all the way, you know, preschool. Like I always read to them and like try to teach them things. I think if you start out like that, then they kind of get a little bit of a head start, and then they're usually able to follow along pretty well in school. Like, but if a child has like a disability or something, then that would be different. But yeah, I mean, some subjects come easier than others, obviously. So you know, some children excel in English, but they can't do well math or vice versa. So again, get if you just pinpoint their weaknesses and like help them particularly with those. But I don't know. I mean, so in your opinion, you should sit down with the kids while they're doing the homework and go through it with them, regardless of whether they ask for help or stumped or not, or do you just help them when they ask, "Hey, I
I
can't
mean,
figure this out"?
that's literally the whole point of homework. The whole point of that is to literally take it home so your parents can do it with you, so they can see what you're doing in school. Like literally, that's the whole point of homework. But so many parents aren't engaged in that.
Well, I mean, people have multiple children and they get busy in the evening. So the teacher usually alerts you, or like you'll have midterms, or even like, they'll send an email and say, hey, they're not turning in their assignments or stuff like that. And then you're like, okay, now address it. But I don't know that most people have a lot of like time or mental energy to sit and like do homework with them when they don't know what the hell the homework's even about and the kid does. So it's almost like the kid's teaching the parents at that point. And it's like, okay, you got it, cool. And that like teaches a level of responsibility and self sufficiency. Like I trust you that you said you understand everything and you're doing your homework and that you're turning it in. So I trust you with that. And then you find out otherwise, then you have to discipline them because they were dishonest. But I don't know at the point of just like sitting there, I guess, personally.
Ooh, yeah, I grew up and I hated how involved my mom was. I was not a fan of that. I used to see her in school way too much.
And not when you're in trouble, just random.
Nope, not when I was in trouble. Just on the random. She worked an
Yeah.
hour away and she was always in that school.
Okay. I mean, I've gone to like this my kids' schools. Like, would always volunteer for field trips, like as a what do you call that?
No, I
I
don't
want to
want you.
remember the word. It's bothering me, but anyways, and I would also like, for instance, my son, I they would have like a segment of the day where a parent would come in and teach a subject. So like I went and taught art, and like each week there'd be like a featured artist, and then we'd have them kind of replicate their style of art and stuff like that. So like go for like an hour or whatever. But I didn't really show up, really just random. But again, I mean, everybody has their own parenting style, so maybe she just
And I'm not,
wanted
trust
to
me, I'm
feel
not,
close to you and like make sure that you knew that she cared. That's possible too.
right, trust me, I'm not knocking any parents who obviously are doing their thing. Do what you have to do. But I do argue a lot of parents today aren't raising their children, they're sheltering them.
Yeah, or we're so distracted ourselves by like social media and things like YouTube and stuff. So it's easy to kind of like let them do their own thing with technology and you're doing yours. So it's like you're in the same house, but you're not necessarily interacting like the way that people used to do.
Do you think that this is actually working for the child's benefit currently?
And I think there definitely has to be like a healthy balance.
All right, have a good one. I appreciate you, man. Say it again, Blue Jay.
Oh, I said I think there should be a healthy balance. I mean, I don't think you should hold your children back from technology because that puts them at a disadvantage in society. And as they get older and like become possible entrepreneurs and things like that. But I also feel like there has to be limits too, and make sure that you have like quality time together. And the
I
kids
agree
will
with you.
protest it, they'll like try to talk you out of it or try to delay, and but you have to just like be firm about it.
I agree, Jerice. These iPads with raising these kids, and a lot of parents aren't holding themselves accountable because of that. I'm harsh
Oh,
when it
sorry.
comes to parents, Blue Jay. I'm harsh.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing though. I mean if you're going to be either too lackadaisical or too stern, I mean I guess on that equilibrium, I think maybe a little more stern than average would be more beneficial than like more lax. But I think having it kind of in the middle is what keeps communication open with the kids. Because if it's too strict, and they always feel like they're in trouble or not. Not saying that you're doing this, but any means, I'm just talking about like
No,
those
I hear.
terms of like discipline and rules, then they tend to start to like people please, but they may either be like doing something behind your back or they're telling you what you want to hear, but you don't ever actually get to their core thoughts. So you can't ever address them if there's a problem or give them like real actual advice based on their real feelings. Does that make sense?
I understand.
But yeah, I mean, parenting is like, it's a blessing, definitely more so in my opinion than work. But yeah, I think people sometimes treat their children almost like it's a little pet. Like it's so cute and they dress it up and then it starts to get bigger and talk back. And now it's like kind of a, what do I do just to
That
like
was a
keep it
great example.
okay? Thanks. Yeah. I mean, babies are cute for a reason. They're a lot of work, or people have them for that. And then they start to get like normal humans, and you're like, okay, well, if I was in real life and I met you, we probably wouldn't even be friends. We don't get along necessarily. And it goes through like phases. But like, for
No,
instance, my daughter, I think she and I went through the phase of like, mom's annoying. You know what I mean? I think I went through it with my mom. I think it's pretty common for like daughters and mothers. It's usually like teenage years, 13 to like 16 or around that, somewhere around there. And your mom just like kind of bugs you for some reason, but then you turn like a corner and then it's like you and your mom, like you don't know what you do without her again. So
do you believe you are your parents?
meaning,
Basically, do you believe that you'll end up replicating a lot of things and habits that your parents did, even if they don't teach them to you?
well, I think I'm kind of like old enough to see like some patterns. Yeah, I mean, I think there's certain traits that I've kind of emulated that from my mother, and those would apply more to motherhood. And then my dad, yeah, he's kind of a rebellious spirit. Like I think I definitely had some of that, and I've gone, through some like cycles of what maybe would be viewed as rebellion, but I always like check back in and like jump off. And neither did he. Like he's a normal functioning person, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I guess I can see how that I have a little bit, but my parents aren't like alike. They're kind of very opposite, which is probably why they got divorced. So anywhere in the middle of them is kind of like pretty much
So I,
possible. I mean,
so I
my
hear these
mom's
comments.
very, very straight laced. Like my mom, I think the first time she said she had a beer, she was like 27. She like has never smoked anything. She's just very, she's like kind of a naturally like rule abider and like she doesn't have those tendencies where my dad does. He's more wild and like, it's kind of, so yeah, I think that
Uh-uh.
I didn't follow my mom in that. I was kind of rebellious and I drank, obviously, stuff like that.
Hold, hold on. Let me yell at this guy. Hold on.
Oh no. Okay. Okay. I forgot it's my show. I guess I should keep talking. Um, so yeah, anyway.
Okay, so what I was
Oh, you're back.
saying is I'm not a fan of that argument generally. I hear this being talked about from numerous people. They just had a whole talk, I forgot which one, where they were talking about you are your father's legacy. And this is where I would argue about how if I was to bring up my situation, all of a sudden they don't know what to say.
Right. Do they ever like ask if you had like a father figure since obviously your father was not worthy to be anywhere but the prison pretty much like or underground. So don't do they ever kind of continue that
Oh,
thought
they
and kind of
they try. I mean, I've been asked. I'm wrong. I mean, I think that's just a natural question to ask. I have had men in my life, and the one thing that I have learned from the men that's been in my life is that these men don't teach you anything.
okay,
They're
not even
not.
by example, whether
They're
it's good
not
or
here.
good.
No, no, no. It's not that. They're not here to teach you. They're here to have sex. They're not here to teach you.
Oh, you're referring to like a boyfriend or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Well, and they don't necessarily have like I feel like in those situations it's better for the boyfriend to just kind of be hands off parenting and be more like a friend because it's really not their place and it's not typically received well by the child anyway. And then, like as a mother, I mean, because obviously there was a phase when before I married my second husband where he was my boyfriend and then my fiance, you know what I mean? But he had a daughter too. So we both just kind of disciplined our own kids. And then even when we got married, we pretty much still did that. Like my son can tell one story. He's like, "Oh, I remember when he put me in, made me go to my room when you went to the store." I'm like, well, if that's the biggest complaint you have about him, that's pretty damn good, you know? But like, that was like the one time that he told him, he was talking back or whatever, wouldn't behave. So he like said, go to your room. And then, my son was like, how dare you? I mean, I don't know what he said, if anything, but that was his thought. It was like, the audacity to tell me what to do. You're not my dad. It's kind of a natural reaction from kids. So, I mean, we were married, so, but I get what you're saying, though. I mean, I think in that situation where a father is not present in the child's life, the mother, when she's dating, probably should have a little bit different criteria for the man. Like for me, I could afford to have like somebody just be my kid's friend in a way or whatever, like an example, older example, but because they have a very like involved and very like solid father, so they weren't like requiring that, and they were with him half the time, so they got their discipline and like their teaching about manliness or whatever from him, so it was fulfilled. So I think that's probably, in my opinion, maybe could use a little bit of like altering in terms of like when you meet someone and say, now my son's father is not in his life, so you know um I'll just be upfront and say like you probably will lean more towards somebody that I'm serious with, that and so I just want to make sure that that's something you're aware of and that you would be okay with, because I don't want to put unfair expectation on you, but also, I mean, he's my son, and
So
he's
so this
important.
is where I would say that, okay, for one, I do agree with you. But for the other half, we're assuming that this isn't a person who had a child at 11 and that her mind is a certain type of way.
Exactly. That's what I said. I mean, not like to try to, say that she did anything wrong. She did an awesome, amazing job, actually.
Oh, I
And
hold
that
her
was,
accountable. Don't
and
get me
what
wrong.
she knew, she couldn't have foresaw, like, maybe she just, like, probably, fell in love and he was nice too. And so it's like, okay, cool, that's good. But I don't know, she would think, oh, I need him to teach him things and stuff. I mean, that takes
Oh, but that's
kind
the
of
thing.
time to reflect back on, I think.
She definitely wanted to have a man around because she felt like her sons needed a masculine influence or a male influence to teach them how to be men.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I muted again. Yeah, I mean, again, I think maybe that's what she hoped would happen, but didn't have the conversation. So and it would be kind of a hard conversation to have if she even thought to have it in the first place. But I'm sure she assumes that men would naturally fall into that position or that role when in that situation, and they don't and didn't. So, I mean, I can't speak for her, obviously, but that's what I would guess.
And that's where I go with when I talk about how these guys, they don't give you they don't give you solutions per se, or they don't give you advice for people who have had the extreme situations or who are in that sector. They're basically, they don't have nothing to tell you,
Yeah,
or it's
because
too
they really don't
uncomfortable to
have.
talk about.
I think maybe that's both. Yeah, I can see that. Some people have a hard time like listening to other people. Like they don't know what to say, so they just don't say anything because they're afraid they'll say something offensive or like insensitive, or they just simply don't know what to say because they honestly like. don't feel
Uh,
that they have enough experience in that, in that situation to
But it wouldn't
give
be enough
advice on it.
experience. It wouldn't even be enough experience because a lot of people, well, that your average person you're talking to don't know a lot of people in that situation.
Well, okay, say we take out the fact that obviously there was an egregious, like atrocious crime committed, and we just say we just narrow the category down to everybody whose father did not want to or didn't participate in their life or something. They could die, they could just be one of those guys that skips out down type thing. But say it's just someone that a mom is raising her son and she doesn't have, for whatever reason, the father is not there in his life at all. So it would kind of be the same principle of like how she would raise him. But you're saying their advice is to chase that dad that left town. I mean, that's kind
And
of stupid advice,
I
anyways.
like the I so I do. I'm not the biggest fan of adding layers to things, honestly. But when I do listen to people's situations, I do realize that certain things are layered, a little too layered for the average conversation to absolutely apply to them. And when I'm sitting here talking and I'm just thinking, I listen. I've listened to abuse victims, and when I hear abuse victims, I always feel sympathy. I always feel empathy. But when I listen to these men on the panels, and
Oh shit.
the panels are basically telling you that, you know, get some type of man figure around these children. And then I sit there and think to myself, so what if everyone from the cop to the mailman to the landlord to the uncle to obviously the baby dad to the jogger in the park, what if this person, to the persons that's trying to give you a job, has assaulted and attacked and done more things to the woman? How do you expect her to sit there and be like, let me just get a man involved in this?
You don't.
Just curious.
You don't. There's no excuse for abuse, and someone should never, ever,
When
ever
I'm
try
looking,
to stay with their abuser ever.
because when I'm looking at a 7-year old, when I'm looking at a girl who's being abused from 7 to 19 years old by every man in the rainbow, but then I hear these men talking about this doesn't happen like that. Or basically, make sure your sons have some type of figure where the men themselves are trying to touch the boys. How is she supposed to trust men?
Well, I mean, she's not supposed to.
I'm just saying, but that's the argument I would have. But then these
But
guys now they don't have a conversation.
why wasn't she protected? I mean, you said from
Why
until
wasn't she
nine. No, no,
protected?
I'm just saying. You said until 19, from the time that you were born, and
Mm-hmm.
she was being under the
Oh,
care of like her mother or
no,
somebody else. Why were they not protecting her?
no. It wasn't because she was only under the care of her mother for a little bit. I just told her the other day she never had a mom. I mean, she's 7 years old and she's telling her mom, hey, your boyfriend touched me. Her mom said, oh, well, kept him in the house. So she tried to run away. If you let her tell the story, she's tried to run away so many times from her mom before she was 10 years old because she realized her mom wasn't going to protect her. I'll send her to the babysitter. Babysitter's mom tells the son to touch her. I'll send her to
Well,
another babysitter. Here comes that babysitter trying to touch her. As far as she know, every grown man she's met has been trying to touch her when she was younger. And then when the
how did
order,
that continue when she was like living on her own with you?
because now she has cops. Now she has people with authority. Now we
So
can put
she
a
was
gun in her.
assaulted by the police.
Now we can put a gun in your mouth and threaten you with a badge. Now
She
we
didn't
can
report it.
say, yeah, she reported it. They didn't believe her.
And so not saying to minimalize in any way, but was that the one time that she was assaulted after you were born until
Oh heck
what?
no! Plenty more times. She was a little girl.
No, but you said she lived on her own. Wouldn't she
Yeah,
dictate who?
she was living on her own. Now this is at 12 and 13
So
years old at this point.
who were these men that were coming around her
Other
house?
men, people she's trying to get jobs from. Um,
Okay.
like I
So
said,
just
or
interactions, not like a constant boyfriend or something.
no, definitely. It was never the boyfriends. It was
Okay.
always other men, never the boyfriends.
Yeah, that's awful. I mean, I don't know. I don't expect that she would trust. I think that would take a lot of healing
I'm just saying,
before she'd attempt to.
imagine going to your mailbox and then just getting assaulted. Imagine trying to take out the trash and then you get ambushed and assaulted. Imagine trying to come home from the store for groceries for your kids and you just get ambushed and assaulted. You're gonna have nightmares.
Right.
But this is what
So
I try to
you'd
bring.
feel that that was what happened to her was like rare to be assaulted that many times, or do you think a lot of women experience that? Mainly.
Um, hmm.
And I by no means mean that it had anything to do with her. She's a victim, plain and
No,
simple.
no, I got you. I do think women experience that. I have heard some stories now. Um, I can't say if it's I can't say if it's a lot or a little bit, because I mean, I've talked to plenty of girls who have been abused, but it's generally maximum 2 times, not 50.
Right.
You
Yeah, it
know,
seems like her hurdles are going to be a little bit, well, or a lot higher because she's had so much exposure to trauma.
and then of course she goes to the church only for them to tell them basically God has given you these trials because you're one of his strongest warriors.
Could
What
that be
kind of
possible?
crap?
That's what I was always taught. I actually, truthfully, I do believe that God gives us trials to be of use in some way to either others on earth or maybe like in the next realm. I'm not sure, but I don't believe that God gives anything that we can't handle.
I'm To me, telling this to a 14, 15-year old, she's trying to seek help. I don't know what y'all expect that's going to do for her.
I don't know. I would never expect anybody to understand that, even a grown adult. I'm just saying that's what I believe.
But and that's the thing.
So,
I've had conversations with this with Hamp also, and he's tried to throw biblical references my way. But even he has a
well,
hard time, huh?
because people are telling you what they believe. So,
Yeah.
in order to tell you anything else, they'd have to be lying to you.
That's not a problem. Trust me. I've moved. Me and my mom, we've unfortunately had to go through this and get past it. But at the same time, I look back and wonder, what could I have told this little girl that could have helped her? Because this crap that I hear from people today, that would not have helped her.
But yeah, I don't know that anything could have helped her at that point in time because she was too young and like she was in like the what do you call it, the eye of the tornado. I mean, she would not be able to process that information or come out with like some mature conclusion. It's not even expected or possible.
And
I
and
don't
and, and yeah, and that's all I'm saying. Like, if I'm talking about this situation, because trust me when I say y'all barely hear anything about me. I do that on purpose. But I talk about my mom because it's also a big part of I've had to sit and experience some of this or a lot of it. And in this situation, if I'm trying to bring this to the table while listening to these conversations online, I mean, or in person, which trust me, in person it's no different than online. People have no answers to really give.
Yeah, exactly. I think they truly don't, and I don't know that there's an answer. That's the
And I
problem.
feel
I
like
mean,
and I just feel like my experiences or just people that are similar, like in this minority, our problems or our experiences get thrown under a rug because it's like we just can't talk about that.
or is it that, or is it just that they're kind of at a loss for words, so the conversation stops? But it's not because they don't care. I don't think that you deserve like advice. It's just they don't know. They don't feel that they know what advice to even give you because in order to give advice, you usually have to have some kind of like exposure or experience with situations. And they're like, oh yeah, I have either been there or oh, okay, like this person that's close to me and what I know. saw when their experience and what I heard them say is blah blah blah. But just to make something up, if you've never had to deal with something, is actually kind of worse than like bad advice is worse than no advice, you know.
I'll take that.
But yeah, I think that's why people go to the spiritual because they're like, well, it's more like a positive like hope that okay things will get better, just keep a positive attitude, that kind of thing is, and it may be in their way of saying it. If they're Christian they'll say it like in terms of God, but otherwise people will say keep your head up, like you got this, you know, stuff like
Woo!
that. But
I've heard that.
what else can they say other than that, you know? I think people should acknowledge though like the hurt and like the trauma. I think they should not just say, "Oh, you know, you you'll be fine. Like, look at you, you're strong." I think it's important to like address the fact that, like, wow, I honestly don't even know how she's done such amazing as she has. Like, you know, I think that's fair to give her that credit. Like, but as far as telling her what she should have done or should do next, I don't know if they should try to guess.
I mean, she's obviously made it through it. She's, 46, doing her thing, and I mean, we have a pretty good relationship. I have my own personal issues with her, but we have a good relationship.
No, you guys seem very close. I mean, like closer than most people
But
are
she,
to their mom.
hey, I always say she drew a very lucky card for her situation to happen to her, and her child looks like a carbon copy of her. I said you drew one lucky straw because a lot of situations I hear, those children come out looking like the abuser.
Well, so is yeah, that's true.
For
So
her
what
to
you mean
give,
like if a child, oh wait, so you mean if a child, if they repeat the cycle, or what do you mean by that?
no, no, I'm saying if a woman, generally women who get assaulted and get pregnant, you generally hear stories that the child they have looks like their abuser.
Oh, like a reminder. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
And then you look exactly like her. So okay, yeah, that's awesome. See, and like for me personally, my first thought is like, see, that's a gift, like God from God, you know. But it's whatever, maybe, but it's a positive. So I think that's, you know, that's kind of what people encourage
and she
others to
don't.
do.
She prays. She prays. She has her own personal relationship. She don't get the answer she's looking for, so people will tell her you need. Actually, I'm glad I brought this up because she don't get the answer she's looking for, and people will tell her you can't rush God. You can't rush the answer. And I told her recently, I think that's a very weird statement to make when he's timeless, infinite, immortal, eternal, while we're finite. So we're telling the dude who has all the time in the world in the universe, don't rush it because I only got so much time. But we're looking at that like that's a logical thing to say.
Well, if I'm maybe able to kind of like personalize that scenario, that would be like if my son, because he'll, once he asks me, like, for instance, hey, mom, you take me to so and so's house, or will you take me to the rec center? And I say yes, then he's like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, no, in a minute, like, I'll tell you when I'm ready to go. And
In a
he'll start
minute
like
now.
bugging me, and he'll be like, and then he'll bother me over and over. And I'm like, okay, next time I'm just gonna say no. But in a way that I am actually like not letting him boss me for selfish reasons, but also I'm trying to teach him like the pecking order and humility and patience. So I think that could also be what, you know, people that blame God believe that he wants us to learn things. And then maybe he never even gives an answer. Like what makes us feel that we deserve to get an answer?
Dang. You don't hear how cold that sounds though?
I think part of like faith is humility and like trust and like yeah, I mean I just feel like trying to tell God how he should do things is very
I,
dangerous. It's
I
pride.
think she's been humiliated enough, if you ask me.
Right, but does that change the like superiority of like a higher being over a human, no matter what.
I
That
mean,
they all of a sudden get a free pass to boss Scott around and other
it's
people
not
don't.
it's not even to boss him around. It's just looking at basic logic at this point. You're
The
supposed to be
expectation.
you're benevolent, right? You're omnibenevolent. You're timeless. What why is it
But
that I have to wait?
I guess because the way that a lot of um, people that are believe in God believe that God, anything that we receive from God is a gift and it's gracious. So it's kind of like,
Ooh.
you don't expect people to give you a gift, but when they do, you're grateful. But you don't get to tell them, like, hey, my birthday was yesterday and you're giving me the gift late. Like, you shouldn't even expect a gift for at all. But then when you do get something, it's because the person that gave it created the terms in which they gave.
Well, in my I I don't want to sound like I'm being an a-hole. I'm just asking like if she's looking for answers and she's almost 50.
What type?
Are we
Do you
really
know the
saying that's a
question,
tall
or
order?
what kind of is it? Like a specific question, or is it just to like?
Why did I have to go through what I had to the first 20 years of my life?
Oh, I don't even know
What
if
were
we
you
even know
trying to
that
teach?
until we're die.
What were you trying to teach me?
I personally, I mean, I don't know. We can draw our best conclusion, but I mean, there's things I've gone through in my life that I can speculate what maybe I was supposed to learn out of that, or how I should take that experience, like, and create something like usage out of it. But I don't expect to get some kind of answer. I feel like maybe there wasn't one, or maybe I'll know after I die, or maybe I will be given the gift of, like, the knowledge. But I don't think God speaks to individuals like that.
Ooh. I mean, it's again, because we was talking about the creator thing, and it
Yeah.
made me think about her relationship that she has, but all I see is pain, if we're being real.
Okay. I mean, and that's fair. And she's taken steps to try to heal that pain, right?
I've definitely tried to heal it, and
Oh, not you. I mean,
and
she has.
she's
She's the
gone
only
to
one that can heal it, Lionel. You can't
she's
heal it.
gone to therapy. Oh, trust me, I realize that also. She's definitely gone to therapy a few times, and the only thing she's gotten out of that is more nightmares.
Bringing up the trauma. That's why I'm a big fan of the EMDR, whatever, EDMR. It's, what I'm talking about, that because
Yeah.
you don't actually talk about, because that's very true. A lot of time it's discouraged for therapists to have someone recite their traumas because it triggers them back into a whole cycle. Um, so that particular, what do you call it? Like a therapist, like a, not a diagnose, but what would be like not a prescription, but you know what I'm saying? Okay, like basically that program or idea of the EDMDR, you don't talk about anything. You don't even think about your trauma. It's weird. Like I don't know exactly how they do it because you don't really remember it later, but you can say the same things out loud that you couldn't before without feeling like that um, trauma
But
being
doesn't that
triggered.
trauma make you who you are, kind of indirectly?
Yes, you can remember it. You don't forget it, but it doesn't send you into a down spiral. It's more like you can think about yourself as the true victim, and you can see logically like how those everything that occurred was unwarranted and unfair, and then you can like help others victims know like you truly are a victim. You can do your best, but I mean, sometimes there's a lot of self blame and guilt associated with being a victim. I mean, not sometimes, almost always. So I think that
Okay.
part of it brings people down. Whereas if you can cut that part out, and it'd be like you're looking on the news and you see some creep violate an 11-year-old child, and you're like, that motherfucker, like, fuck, you see him as like the pig, and
Blue Jay Custom?
you don't feel her internal pain. You see as an outsider how unbelievably horrible it is. You know what I mean? And you kind of see it like that. It's like you see what happened to you as like an outsider would.
Blue Jay Customs?
Huh?
Blue Jay cusses?
Sometimes, not often, but things like that, situations like that anger me because I feel like it's just so atrocious that somebody could, for one simple, like, selfish moment, they can ruin someone's entire life and like feeling of safety and stability and question themselves, and like it's such an unfair burden put on somebody just for your own selfish disgusting wants, I just, yeah, I have major
Blue Jay cusses?
you know
What?
yeah, occasionally. Usually I'm telling my kid to stop cussing, he's like potty mouth, but yeah, I try not to, like, especially on public things, but I mean, I feel like there was no better word to describe that situation. So, I don't know. But yeah, I mean,
And I read the stuff you sent me on it because I sent it to my sister too. But like I told you, she felt like that was some get out type situation.
yeah, I could see that if you didn't kind of know the history of it. But no, it's like very common treatment for war veterans, and it's like 95 or 90, it's in the high 90s% effective. And so it was actually started as like a military treatment. It's kind of like physiological. So it's partly like mental, but it's mostly almost like physical because it actually affects your brain, and they're not going to like inject thoughts. It doesn't remove or inject memories. All it does is, this is how they explain it to me, and this is like the best explanation I got it when they said this. They said it's kind of like if you have a string from the event to your emotion that you feel when you recall that event, and then somebody takes some scissors and they cut that string. So the event's still there, and you remember everything, but your emotion is not tied to it in the same regard. You will feel sad about it, but you're like more sad for yourself that you had experienced that. It is kind of takes away some of like the more destructive, like darker, like shameful feelings, or even some of like the feelings that you felt at that moment, the fear and all that. It like cuts that away from you being able to talk about it, because those memories are never going to go away. And the answer isn't to try to erase them. I mean, the answer is to try to be able to view them, like I said, as an outsider, not as a victim.
So, so I have a question because you are of faith. My question is why is it a negative looked at as a negative thing to try to question the creator?
I think that's natural. I think that pretty much everybody but Jesus has questioned the creator.
Why is he the example?
What's that?
Why is he always the example though?
Because
Him
he's
or Joe?
perfect.
I hear him as they're all
Job is still a man, though. I mean, the story of Job is more to say, like, God can put you through trials and then you can be rewarded, but sometimes you aren't rewarded for your trials. I mean, but Jesus is perfect. There's no
so do
other
you believe
perfect.
everyone is rewarded for their trials?
No,
Oh dang.
not in this
Quick to it
life.
too.
Not in this life. I don't know that so much as a reward as it is um, becoming more knowledgeable about, being more able to empathize or feel like others. So you need to be able to feel others' pain and also like joy when if you expect to become like more like righteous, or pure, whatever word people want to say, more loving, more, you know. So a lot of people don't have to go through those things, and there's possibility that we already people that didn't experience that in her life, same years that she's alive, might have even had experienced it before, like somehow or some way. I don't know. Maybe just I don't believe necessarily in like um, you know live like reincarnation per se, but I believe that we're taught all the same lessons, but just on different schedules and
You don't
different
believe in
ways.
reincarnation?
Not in the way that like kind of like the hippies or the gypsy kind of view. I don't know if I don't know what God puts us through. I don't know, but in the Bible it doesn't say that. But I do believe that we learn lessons like before we come here and after we leave. So I don't know
Okay.
exactly how all that works, but I feel like we all equally kind of like learn the same things in different ways, and like I said, on different
Interesting.
timelines. Yeah. So it's hard to say what you know how we learn it or whatever, but I feel like that in order to become like more Christ-like, like, or try to like be our like very best that we can be, we have to be able to understand what pain is because otherwise we would have no sympathy, you know?
Okay. I was told not to seek answers in people, but to seek answers in the Creator. And if
I agree
I
with that. I mean,
and if
then,
I search for those answers, they would come to me.
okay, so that part is tricky because I feel like if that depends on how specific you're trying to be or how personalized. I believe that if you seek God, He will, you know, He will like come to you, you'll receive Him. But I don't necessarily that means like you get these cut and dry answers. It's just that you like I don't know how to explain it. It's like you grow like a testimony of God and like you feel like a connection, but it's not per se, okay, good job. Like you asked you a question now, like because you asked me and I'll give it to you. It's not like a teacher per se. Like it's different. I think that part of our problem is that we want answers, whereas if we were just to be able to understand that we don't have control and that we like give our lives up to God or Christ, then we don't feel so much pressure to like have answers. We don't need to explain things because it's not our burden.
So, okay. Whew. So if this life is just a wrecking ball, we're just supposed to just LOL and ignore it because it's
No,
not
I
really
mean
our problem.
we couldn't do that. I mean, it's not even possible. We have feeling we feel like we
Yeah.
have emotions. So I just think that we're just supposed to trust that there's a reason that God put us through that, and whether we're ever. I don't know that we have to ask him what that reason is, though. I mean, we can if we want, and maybe he may reveal like in some way, or but that's almost like heresy to expect God to like talk to us because we're not like living prophets. We're not, it's not something that is should be expected. Is like for God to give us these tangible explanations. I mean,
So I'll say this. So I've been told in certain cases to do my own research, and I always think that is a horrible idea to tell people. But I I did my own research and learned certain things. I started to have a different perspective of what they call the devil
mm,
or Lucifer
okay.
because I'm looking at the story and I'm like, this story is basically telling me that he's working for God to tempt people. He's effectively doing his job, but yet he's getting labeled with this very evil title. Like he's the bad guy just to be doing it. But yet, me looking up explanations, they're all telling me he's effectively working for him and doing God's job. So now, why does he have a bad reputation then?
Well, I do think he is God's nemesis. I don't believe that God is like instructing him to do evil things or to lead us astray.
But if
I
you
mean,
look it up, that's basically what they're telling you.
yeah, he gave God or the devil dominion over the water. Um, and that's why a lot of people like, like how it's kind of like in the sea or like the water can be like evil. I don't know. But I think that he, by not being, not necessarily like stopping him and wanting him to do it are not the exact same thing. But without evil, there's no good. And so if we do have free will and we're like instructed to keep the
I don't
commandments
believe in
and
that free will one though. I don't believe in free will.
because of the time constraint.
It's it's a hard pill to swallow when we ourselves do not design our minds. When our minds are effectively built by genetics, environment, particular synapses, like we don't build our minds. We don't have the freedom to choose quite a lot of things. Like it's kind of hard to swallow the free will argument outside of what you just said too. But there's a myriad of reasons why.
Okay, so you feel like we're more a product of our environment than we are of our choices?
I think we're a product of our environment, our genetics, um, and other things that pretty much are the building blocks of our mind that we don't design.
Okay, have you ever
Because
heard
we don't
the scripture, watch your thoughts, words, and deeds?
know, or if I have, I don't remember.
Okay, so that's like one that I kind of lean to a lot because we can entertain thoughts of evil. Like, for instance, that's sort of how people get like really into like deep, dark kind of like pornography type stuff because they first like get this like rebuilt kind of like, oh, I know I probably shouldn't be doing this, and then they entertain it, and then they entertain it, and then their thoughts and start to, and then they start, their words, whether they share it or not, that kind of thing. But um, words typically are next. Like if you hate somebody, and you can keep it in and keep it in, but finally, it's at some point it's going to come out because you've continually like fed these thoughts of how much you hate them. But then deeds follow. So our main responsibility is just to kind of keep our thoughts in check. And if we do that, make a habit of that, then it makes our lives a lot easier.
Do you know who Sam? I thought I brought it up. You said you did. Sam Harris. He's a neurophysicist, and
Okay.
he also used to be a monk. And he had this thought experiment where he would ask you to pick any city in the world. It didn't matter what, and he would ask you, "What city did you pick?" And let's give me a city real quick.
Okay. Brussels.
And he would ask you, "Why didn't you choose a city in Australia, somewhere in Australia, or why didn't you choose a city in somewhere in Africa?" And he would obviously, because you didn't think of that, so he would ask you, were you free to choose something you didn't have access to, not knowledge to? Because
No.
if you're not free to choose that, then how do you have free will if you don't have the freedom to choose that which you don't have access to?
Okay.
And
So we're talking about what types of behaviors.
say that again.
Like what thoughts, kind of like what exposures are saying, like the conditions that you're referring to that people basically like manifest because of their environment and their genetic. Are you talking
Basically,
about
yeah.
crimes? Are you like, would that extend to like crimes, or does that just meaning like how you, I don't know, how you talk to your kids, or how much you value like education, or are you talking about those kinds of things? Or are you talking about someone that
Well, technically,
eventually harms?
well, he would argue all of that actually goes hand in hand. Although you might disagree, he would argue a lot of that goes hand in hand because you have the free will. If we have the free will to choose anything, because I mean, either choice is an illusion, or you actually have free will to basically, obviously, choose particular things, as in things you don't have access to.
Okay, well, if that is the case and that's what you believe, how can you be angry at the perpetrators that violated? your family.
Oh, wait. I never said I believe.
What's that? I can't. I think you might cut. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
So if they didn't have free will according to your belief, then is it really something they can be held accountable for?
Essentially, this experiment is trying to show that how we feel, just how we think, is generally all products of our environment. That
Right.
because we don't author our story. Like Blue Jay comes into my life. I didn't write that down.
Right.
I didn't say, you know what? We're gonna have this 60-year-old white girl come in my life.
50? Is that what you said?
I'm playing. I'm playing.
I'm like,
Um,
what? I'm trying not to give out all my personal information. Like, I'm a ways away from that, but okay.
and it's like I didn't ask her to come in here. Um, I didn't author her to write or to say all that she said tonight to me.
Right.
So you lose the freedom of will to basically be the author of your own story.
But I thought you don't believe in free will.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the argument because if you can't have free will if you're not the one authoring the story.
Okay, but you chose when I came into your life and your present,
No, I
you
didn't.
chose how to respond to me. That was your free will.
Okay, so
Right.
we
So
could. The
what
argument
I'm saying,
is
I'm not even
go for
arguing that part that you
it.
can't
Okay,
control me. What I'm saying is, can say I came into your space and I was like extremely rude to you. Um, could I be blamed for being rude to you, or would that just be I would be excused because I don't have free will if you don't, and it was my environment and my genetics that made me lash out at you and say rude things. So can you be really like angry or think anything negative about me, or do you just think, well, it's not her fault?
I'm actually going to answer this with another experiment real quick because I think
Okay.
it'll work better.
Okay.
And he used this example with the bear. He brought up how, you know, if a bear just suddenly decides to attack you, and
Okay.
how can you get mad at this bear when it was acting like a bear? You was in the wrong place, wrong time, and this bear decided to be a bear.
Right.
And the guy he was talking to tried to refute this. So he brought up Charles Whitman, the guy that he did all those killings back in the day, but we found
I'm
out
not familiar with him.
he had this he had this tumor pressed on his brain, and this
Okay.
tumor pretty much dictated what he was going to do. And they did verify that basically if they would have removed the tumor from this part of his brain, odds are he wasn't killing nobody. But he had a situation that he could not control that effectively pushed him to execute these violent acts.
So the part of his
And
brain was like aggression. Were they like violent, lash out, like spur of the moment killings, or were they planned and manipulative?
they were basically, from what we're gathering, that's actually debatable. We're going to be realistic.
Okay. But I could
That's
see
going to
if
be
you have
realistic.
a brain problem that you can't control your frontal lobes, how they control your reactions and like your temperament. If that's affected, I can understand someone like freaking out and not being like, calm and like thinking things through. But I can't really
Do you know?
understand how
Do you know
someone
who
could
Chris
plot
Benoit is?
murder.
Wait, do you know who Chris Benoit is?
No, is that a basketball player?
No. Chris Benoit. He is a professional wrestler that
Okay.
in 2007 he poisoned his son and his wife, and then he hung himself.
Mhm.
and this was pretty much a dark day in wrestling. And people were like, how could he do such a horrible act? When they did a brain autopsy of him, his brain literally looked like black coal that's been in water for a minute.
That's weird.
Well, he was a guy who took numerous headshots. He was on steroids.
Oh,
He
okay.
was
So he
doing a
has
lot.
that same thing that football players get.
So basically, that's how bad his brain looked. And people say he made the choice, however, to take out 3 lives when he only had to take out one. But I argued, if we saw the shape his brain was in, was he really using it the way we think he should have been?
Did he leave any kind of a note or
Nope,
explanation?
no notes.
So, I mean, if you think about it, maybe he felt like so dark and depressed and all that, but he felt like he didn't want to abandon his wife and children, leave them alone to fend for themselves in this horrible world because that's how he viewed the world, is dark and depressing. So maybe he thought he was helping them. I mean, not saying it's right. I mean, of course not. But that's what I'm saying. We don't know what he thought, what his intention was to kill them.
Oh,
It,
and that's what I'm and I agree with you. I do agree with you. Now, trust me, the internet, the wrestling community has been split on this since 2007. Some people are trying to set. No one is saying what he did is right. No one is agreeing with it, but people are arguing. If you looked at his mind, his brain, he clearly wasn't in the right state of mind. His brain was literally broken.
well, and he took his own life too. So that tells you how gone he was. It'd be different if he just did that to them and then like try to escape and get away with it. And you know what I mean? Like left with his new girlfriend or something. Like when he's in that state, anybody that can take their own life is in a situation we can't even understand because we obviously haven't done it, so we don't even know
And,
what
and
that feels like.
and I agree with you absolutely. And I bring it back to the whole free will situation where 9 times out of 10 we are the products of our environments. I'm not trying to tell anyone that their choices don't matter because this becomes an expansive construct that we're talking about. But our environments do help shape our minds. We don't keep like the babies that come out. We don't speak a universal language. More often than not, when a baby come out and they're saying mommy and daddy, who are they saying? How are they saying it? Pretty much in the
Mm.
language that they're around.
Well,
You're not.
most babies are like all over. I think I say mama, dada. I'm pretty sure. Well, no, that's one of the first things babies' mouths can do. Like they have to form their soft palate. Their mouths aren't formed enough to like speak fluent language, even if they wanted
Not
to.
hello,
They don't
sir.
have teeth. They don't have like. Have you ever heard someone with no teeth try to speak?
Absolutely.
They could say mama just fine because it's just opening and closing your mouth. But I think well, friends. Okay, let's go back to the watch your thoughts, words, and deeds
For
thing. He knew. Yes, he couldn't help the fact that he was having these dark feelings. But he also knew before he let it get too far. That's the problem. The thoughts part, if he would have focused on thought, he thought, okay, I'm having really bad thoughts. I need to resolve. This is not good. And I need to tell everybody, or I need to have my kid and my wife like be taken somewhere
you talking
safe
about
just in
Charles Whitman,
case.
right?
But there, if he would have really like not let the thoughts get out of hand, it wouldn't have come to where he could
Now,
have, yeah.
But to be fair, Charles Whitman did write a letter. Now, he did write a whole letter, pretty much saying he has these dark thoughts in his head. He feels something pressing on his head, all of this stuff. So he
Sure,
did
but he still knew, even if he didn't feel, even if he felt like that was the right thing to do, he knew because of all his upbringing and everything that he had learned throughout his life that that is not right. That's not normal. I shouldn't be thinking this, and that's when you have to stop it. You have to intervene on yourself right at the moment. Like you can't just let it
Hmm.
go and try to push away. You have to take it seriously, So I think that's where his free will might have had come into play if he had kind of like taking it his thoughts are, but for men a lot of time it's shameful, and then that sounds scary when you tell someone I'm thinking about killing my wife and kid, and me like feel like, oh my god, you're nuts, like, so it's not something you want to like broadcast by any means, Maybe he didn't feel like he had someone he could trust. Maybe he thought it was just not that serious. So the problem is once you got those thoughts get too big and too far gone, there's no coming back.
So I wanna interject with kind of, I guess, spirituality in this. We brought it up earlier. If we have demons that are walking around and whispering in people's ears or telling them that they should be doing certain things, doesn't that also take away our free will? If we have demons basically possessing us or forcing us to go over the edge?
We have to allow them in. We have to instigate. We have to like take steps towards evil behaviors that we know that we shouldn't be entertaining, and then we're inviting those. They can't like you. He can't just come into your soul or your body or make like speak to you unless you they can try to come tempt you like someone walking down the street and like offers you something and whether you entertain it or not it makes a difference in what you do next. So there are ways that people like inadvertently might let them in, and that could be through like like perversion or even like some kind of like deep forms of like witchcraft and tarot and kind of like asking for like spirits to speak to you and those kinds of things that they may not realize what they're doing, but they're kind of like inviting those entities to interact with them and like to communicate with them.
But
That's
if we
again where the
don't,
thoughts come into play. If you're not having, nobody can help if they have a bad thought, like,
of
but
course.
whether or not you sit and dwell in it or you entertain it at all is the difference.
Oh, but wait. So when you say that, if we're saying no, all right, because it's true, nobody can say they never had a bad thoughts. So you have these people, because I think we're equating. Sometimes people equate will with act, and engaging in action is one thing. But if you have the freedom of will, then where's the freedom of will to not have those negative thoughts?
There would be no free will if you didn't have to make a choice.
But we're making the choice after the fact, though. Will would supersede, would come before or precede choice.
Well, we can't stop. I mean, if we stop thoughts, then we would be stopping all thoughts of like good thoughts too, or just, I mean, thoughts. We live in, a world with that is sinful, so it's unavoidable. And natural human desires can be lust and greed and, a lot of things that eventually harm others and like make the world, like not a safe or good place to be with those initial instincts, yes. But if they don't exist or we don't have any temptations, then we don't have any way to express free will. We just be on like a autopilot.
But this automatically goes back to the creator, who's effectively, he knows everything we're going to do. He's written our stories. He's timeless. So he's seeing everything all at once. He knows everything, how we're going to think, the thoughts we're thinking of. How do you have free will when it's already been decided?
Well, do you think that we even have the capacity to understand that? I believe like the Bible teaching, like we're given commandments. So of course I believe that we have the choice, or why else would we be told to make choices? So I can't understand why anybody, by using a time constraint like we talked about the other day, we are limited by our capacity to comprehend or perceive things like in the realm that we're in. But us trying to like understand how all that works in its entirety is like prideful.
So I got to stop you with that one. That's a interesting statement you made because our capability to think is astronomical versus our capability to understand, which we're constantly breaking down. Human thought by itself, again, we are conceptualizing the universe. If people are going off the Bible is not talking about M theory, string theory, quantum entanglement. They're not talking about impossible universes, infinite dimensions. Our thoughts are doing that. Our thoughts go very far. When most people talking about infinite, they have this one philosophical notion of it. People aren't talking about Reinhardt cardinals or just large set theories in general or inaccessible cardinals. No, they're not thinking about how generally the infinity they're thinking about is a small infinity versus what thought has created with mathematics. Our thought capacity is astronomically large. So when we're like, how can we understand that? You literally have attempts of people that are trying to build worlds to try to understand it.
Yeah.
It's just whether you want to attach your understanding to some of the answers that they're creating.
Well, I think part of like when you like accept, you know, say you accept salvation, you realize that you don't need to know everything. I mean,
But
if it was in the Bible, how could you expect people 100 years ago or in other languages to understand all these intricate scientific theories? And then if we've made that much leap in that amount of time, so say that same amount of time ahead of us, or I mean after us, can we really even like perceive, or, or even like brainstorm or come up with any ideas that what they might be doing?
we're constantly trying to do that though. We're constantly trying to create,
Yeah,
I would
and that's
argue
why
more
we are
so in
so
the
much more
past.
advanced than they were. But yeah, hopefully each civilization advances.
Because
Seems
we're
to
looking
be.
at when we're looking at the creatures on this planet, and I'm not saying they don't have particular thoughts, but any type of execution they're doing, it's easily superseded by a 5-year-old human.
Um, you think even like the chimpanzees, how they're like waging warfare and like planning out.
I know you didn't just go Planet of the Apes on me.
Well, that's like the
I
closest
know
ape
you ain't go
naming.
Planet of the Apes on me.
I bet they're smarter than a 5-year-old though. The octopus is very intelligent.
It is not. This isn't to this. Like I said, I'm not trying to dismiss the thoughts that they have. But when we're seeing, if you look at the average 5-year-old, where parents love to talk about how smart their children are because of what
Hmm.
they can do technologically currently, love to hype up. Where I constantly say, I don't personally think your child's that smart.
Yeah, people always like see their own
Like,
kids as
I don't
smart.
hype these people's kids up. They'll say my baby's so smart. Oh, she's doing this, and I'm like, what do you define as smart?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I don't see it with your child.
Well, what is the octopus define as smart? Is it being able to work on a computer? Probably not.
Well, so here's the thing. When I look at sheer levels of intelligence, I'm looking at how far we have come versus the jellyfish and sharks who have been here way longer than us. And we can't really be like, yo, they've made such progression in
Well,
their
we have a language.
massive lifespans.
What makes us entirely superior is our language, our ability to create languages.
Well, it's not just our ability. Well, technically, yeah,
Because we
all of
can
our
read, we
ability.
can also read, so we
We can
can
create
learn
and we can create.
and share information. They can only
So
share their
we
eyes or whatever, or their some weird sound they make.
I mean,
They
but yeah,
can't.
we have a massive edge. I know CT likes trolling, but one of the things I agreed with is when he was on Risky's channel and the people were trying to argue Africa against him. And he was telling you how the black American is the smartest black person on this planet. How are you
Right.
comparing those Africans and what they aren't doing
Yeah.
versus to the American male and what he can comprehend and think of and accomplish?
Right. I think they take it too personally because he's not even, he's actually impersonalizing it by saying, look, because when you have advancements such as a language, then you can progress more quickly and make agreements. You can make bill of sales. You can make stock markets. You can make all kinds of things that you can't do if you don't have like enough people that speak your language, or if your language isn't that advanced enough. And also, Africa's terrain is like very difficult to, you know, it's so big that to get to the shores, it's a lot of distance. Okay, and then not it's hot. And then not only that, the shoreline on average is like 1,000 feet higher than the water. So how are you going to trade with people? You got to build like
So
a big,
I want to bring this
like a
up.
ladder or something. Like that's why
I don't want to
it's
sound
not. He's
racial.
not saying they're not intelligent. He's saying they
Oh,
don't
he's
even
not saying that
have.
at all. Definitely. He's not saying
Yeah,
that.
but they don't see it like that. That's what I'm saying. And he would know because you'd think they trust him the most because his
Yep.
parents came here from Africa.
So
Like, and Nigeria is one of the best countries there, and he's told
so
that it's
here's the
better.
thing. Here's the thing, and I don't want to sound racial now, but
I
I
don't
hear
care as
black.
long as it's not disrespectful towards
Well,
one
you
another.
know it's
That's what
not. I
I
mean,
don't
you've
mind
heard
talking
me
about
talk though,
history and geography, but I
and
just
I'm
don't like
bringing
it
up,
when people
and
get.
that's where I'm going
Yeah,
to
go
bring
ahead.
up.
I trust you.
That's
Yeah.
where I'm going to bring that up because I hear black people talk all the time about how advanced they were in the past, how great they were, um, how they were basically more advanced than we are now. And when I look at today, when I look at today, I don't see it.
Well, I think the problem is people think that Africa was exactly like it is now. And it was like Pangea still, and like everybody was mixed together with like one land. So who knows? And then when that part broke off of that, it went south, and then like they got a shitty like kind of piece of land, just like the Norwegians got put on the tundra. Like, but what I'm saying is, it's not like it's anybody's fault. Like, there's conditions that do cause results. Like, but instead of thinking, okay, so for Africa to like come up, there's okay, so we should probably like maybe if we want to do something, have them go there and teach English or something. But they don't. They'll just get mad. It's like there's no point. So
Do you hear what they generally do say? They talk about how the white people were the minority, but yet the white people came, and these dominant, successful, more advanced empires all got destroyed or all was taken over
yeah,
by a
they all find
minute.
a fault.
And I'm just sitting here thinking, do y'all not hear what y'all are saying? Because y'all beating
Well,
y'all chest like y'all King Kong, but you're
well,
telling
they
me
have
King Kong.
accomplishments. So many, like the first millionaire woman in the United States was a black woman, and like the richest person that's ever existed in the entire world is a king that was in Africa, and he was like really nice to everybody too, but he discovered all the gold. But then, there's like Sunny Ali. He was a king in Africa and he couldn't read. And so he took it down on pants and he burned every book in every history. Even the scribes like had to hide them. So like a few made it. But he did that to his own country. Like
Oh,
that,
don't get me
you know
wrong.
what I mean?
I'm fully aware that Africa pretty
So
much was their
yeah. I
own.
mean,
They destroyed themselves.
yeah, I
But
mean, well, one person, a tyrant destroyed him. So it's not even like most of us aren't really able to control our like geological environments to the some degree. I mean, we kind of can more because we're from the United States. We can move anywhere we want, but a lot of countries can't just move anywhere.
here's the
Like, or
thing. So it's so admirable, so admirable. That's why I love you, Blue Jay. So humble and optimistic. However, when you're listening to today's black people or today's Africans beating their chests like they're ancient Egypt,
well,
I have a problem with that.
it's like a clique, kind of. It's like a club, almost like something to. But I think most of the people don't even feel that way. But they, it's like what I don't know. Like girls when they get together, like in junior, and they didn't talk about someone else. Like they just want like some, but they can instead of be mad. I mean, of course, like if your parents told you to be mad, then that's gonna affect you, or you see something in life that makes you mad. Like, of course, I mean that's understandable. I just don't know that that's the best thing for that to be when you come together. That's what you talk about because that's not like helping. Like, I mean, cool. Like everybody would want Africa to be more successful because when we come up, we all come up. So it's like the more money that the reason that the United States is so prosperous because citizens have great lives and they are rich compared to the world. Like, so I mean, it's like a team that wins. Like, so I mean, that would be a better route in my opinion, and could be very lucrative too. But it's
So
just,
my
I guess I don't understand what they want anybody to do or say about it.
and I agree with you. That's and I try to ask that. So I'll take this back to World War II. If there was
Are you just
any
gonna rag
time,
on black people?
if
I
there was
don't know.
any
You're gonna.
time,
I don't want to just like. Okay, I'll listen.
if there was any times Africans had a chance to showcase that level of superiority, that level of genius, it would have been World War II. Problem with that is it wasn't. And I try to explain that to people, and I'm like, who was literally deemed globally as the most technologically advanced? Period. Germany.
Yeah,
They were so technologically advanced. America knew they were smart enough not to kill the scientists. They said, we're going to take you over to our country and make y'all work for us.
they didn't even kill the like able-bodied men, but they didn't put them in the army. They just made them do grunt work and like they're very horrible working conditions.
And
So
they
they
talked
didn't
about
anybody that
how
could be of use they kept.
advanced versus everything else Germany was. The only reason they lost was because of poor leadership.
It was an evil empire. Well, no, he kind of tricked them into becoming a dictator.
Well, this is what I mean. The evil leader, not the evil, the
Well, no, but
poor leadership.
do you know that though? So he had bad intentions, but they were like in basically like what we would call the Great Depression here. People were like
Oh,
starving
yeah,
and
I know.
everything. So he blamed, but he had like got them to vote for him to go up like one level of authority, and then somehow he tricked people into they couldn't stop him from being a dictator, and that's like a lot of people were not on board with what he was doing. They literally had like no rights anymore.
Now, let me know. I'm not trying to actually talk about the actual event. I was only keeping it on one situation, and that was the IQ. In terms of the sheer genius coming out of that country, eclipsed every continent on this planet.
Yeah, they're very like advanced. I believe. I don't know. Are they still? I'm pretty sure. Oh,
And
you
I'm
cut out.
like, when I think about,
What
and
did
again,
you
I'm gonna
say?
go back to black people.
You think
Oh,
Germany is still more advanced, or
I'm
not more,
saying
not like the most, but
that
are they
when
still
World
pretty
War
advanced in
II,
comparison? No, I know what you're saying. I
um,
was just asking you if you still think they are that competitive versus back then.
currently,
Because back then they weren't. They were in the
I don't think they're.
Great
I don't
Depression
think.
thing. They were not good back then.
I don't
Economically, or like,
think unless they are, unless they're hiding a ton of technology from what we know. I wouldn't. I would definitely not say Germany's at the level it was during World War II, especially when all their greatest minds pretty much got taken away from them.
well, actually, there is a scientist. Okay, let me ask your opinion on this because I've kind of gotten pushback on it. I don't know why, but like whenever I say like Egypt and Germany like team together, they're like
Hmm.
top scientists in the field of genetics. They finally felt like they could take like viable samples from these mummies. The technology was finally there because before they wouldn't test, they
Hmm.
were like ruin them. So they did them, and they came up with a composite sketch. They were able to pretty much like rebuild because so much was preserved. It's crazy how they knew how to do that. But like out of 150 mummies, they got 91 samples, and this is like Egypt is like heading the study. They just like partnered with Germany because they do have advanced scientists there. So like they partner with the best kind of thing, right? But they're the ones that are conducting the study. So then they come back and the composite is like if you took pretty much every race and just mixed it all up together. And that's what they say this person looks like. So it's like, why don't we say, okay, it's not any of us. Like it's just we all went our separate ways and whatever. Maybe we adapt to like climate or whatever. Why instead of logical, it's like
So that's actually where I
you're
was going
racist if you
with what you
won't
were
say
saying.
that they're the same people as today. Or well, today they're kind of light skinned, I think. But I mean, the point is, when someone's logical, you can't make them feel shamed like they're being hateful. I don't know more than those scientists. I have to go with them. In Egypt, why would they want to? What would be their motivation to say, "This is what the person looks like"? It looks like a brown, like medium brown, kind of brown eyes, like brown hair, and like it just looked like a like I said, if you mix everybody in the world up, like to me. But I don't know. It doesn't look like me, so it's not like I'm saying like nope. I'm not trying to claim it. I'm just
When
saying
you
we can stop arguing about it.
when
Like
you
you know what I mean?
when you get pushback, Blue Jay, I'm pretty certain it's just because of the color of your skin and
No, it's because I'm
how
opinionated.
opinionated.
Yeah, that's why. I don't think it has my color of my skin. Like I said, I don't think most people are
Oh, that's part of it. No, that's
as
definitely
like
part of it.
anti. I think people are very like comfortable with one another. I think it's like the platform. Like, let's get. What are we gonna talk about? You know what? Like men have a tendency to like kind of get like on like boys talk. But I could see I was like people kind of get mad, but it's like I don't get the point. And I'm not like totally taking away their justification. It's just, I mean, there's ways
I've
they
never
could like
thought you did that.
focus on finances and like start putting like money into Africa, like the stocks, build like a stock market there, stuff like that. I mean, that's all I'm saying. It's not saying you can't be
No,
mad
and
about
I get you.
justified, but why not like make some like I don't know. I mean, you can do it. It'd be cheap to do. I mean, getting through the government's kind of hard. The crutch,
No,
even if they're.
I'm with you. I'm not one of those people that's going to get offended or anything like that. Um, I have
I
seen
think
these
I'm
other
logical,
panels.
and people don't. They think I'm not being serious because I say that's like kind of bluntly,
I
like
don't think
matter
it's
of
the
fact.
logic.
And people think, I think they think I'm trying to, like I'm not serious. I'm pretty
No, they
sure if
definitely
I,
think you're serious.
but why is that? Well, okay, let's just take the Egypt thing. Why? What would you think someone if I said they could easily look up the study? I mean, it was like world known. Like, and if they don't agree with the references and they want to do their own like further research, okay, but you can't just like not even acknowledge it. I mean,
Do you?
it's like
Okay, I've
the
watched
world's
you.
best
I've
scientist.
paid
I mean,
attention. I've watched you. I've paid attention to you. I've seen you on these panels. I've seen you in the chat. I know that, hey, if we bring some information to you, you're going to look it up. You're going to want to know more. You like to constantly absorb information. And you, at the same time, you are strong in your beliefs and how you're perceiving things. But it's not so much that if you don't hear some new information, that you won't adapt
yeah.
to it. You
Well,
talk
I
to
think
a
that if
lot of
I find,
people.
okay, sorry, go ahead.
You talk to a lot of people who are not like that. They've heard some stuff that they're going to be passionate about, and then that's all they're going to go through. You info dump a lot of the times, so they don't like that intellectualism that you're bringing to the argument because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Right, it's not
And
like
in
you
a
can't
black,
shame someone into like being quieter, like not. I would rather someone tell me information that I'm unaware of so that I don't look ignorant. I'd rather know. I mean, knowledge is power. Like I know that's cliche, but that's so true. Like you should know your even your enemies like plan better than they do. You
Damn,
know,
not
I'm
know
not saying
your
anyone's my
enemy.
enemies, but I'm talking about like in a war or like a debate. And you know, and I'm not
Dag,
talking
a
about
war?
like in no, I'm not talking about U.S. citizens. I'm talking about the concept of like someone that's your nemesis. Like you can't just be ignorant to what they know how to do, what they have, what who they're friends with, or whatever it is. You know what I
Not
mean? You
your
kind of have to
nemesis. We talking about a
research your enemies
friendly
too.
debate.
But my point is, even if someone tells me something that first, I don't really have a lot of narratives that I'm trying to prove. Like, but even if I did, if somebody showed me like concrete evidence, I would have to just like come to terms with it. I mean, and why wouldn't I be relieved to not have to worry about that anymore? Like, okay, whatever. Like, I mean,
But
that's I guess why I don't understand. Like, now say a fiction or maybe even a just one author that you never heard of. If someone like that gives information, I'm
mhm.
maybe not, probably not going to believe it. But why do we even have scientific communities like the top scientists in the entire world on genetics, which is like very complicated? Why even bother having those kinds of people if you're not going to believe them? I mean, what's the point?
So so there is something I want to go with that one because what I think is interesting. Now let me know because they're in the same field. It works that the top geneticists in the world they don't always agree with each other. Despite the fact that they've got research behind them, one has 20 years, the other has 30, and he looking at him like, dude, your information
Okay,
outdated. I
fine.
love
Maybe
that
the
personally.
phenotype is off. However, Egypt conducted the study on their own terms. So their motivation, whatever it may be, it's their damn country. However they want to see the results,
Blue Jay
fine.
cussing
But
tonight? Okay.
like Egypt, I could see if somebody else like confiscated the mummies and stole them and then said, "Oh no, they're like white or like they're Mexican or they're Asian or you know," and then you're like, "Well, where's who are you to be able to do that?" But it's like
You
it's
know
their
I'm
own
not
country,
counting what you're
so
saying though, right?
they're gonna paint their country in the best light. Like, so why would they lie? That's what I don't
Just let
understand.
me just so you know I'm not like disputing you, right? Like I'm with you.
No, I'm
I'm
just basically
absolutely with
saying
you.
what arguments I'm people will say. I stopped even bothering. I told a couple of people, and like you know, and then in the chats, and then they just get like really angry with me. I'm like, okay, never
But
mind. I'm just not
you're
going to share it that anymore
because
because.
you're countering their narratives. That's honestly what you're doing because they do believe that there is an agenda.
But are they
Are they what?
countering their minors or whatever? Like, they're not countering anything because
Oh no, no,
unless
they
they
believe
know, unless
you're.
they say, I read that study and this is why it's invalid or this is why you're wrong. If they didn't even read the study, I can't even listen to what they're mad
You,
at me
you
for.
know what?
It doesn't
You know what's
matter.
wild? You know what's wild about that is that we've talked about this era of information. The mere fact, and this actually annoys me, that let's say you bring up a summary, even if you just bring up an abstract, you can literally bring up this information with a
Yes.
snap.
And you just check the source. They have to be
Like,
like reliable experts on the topic and like have credentials. And if they don't, then you it's just opinion. But like as far as saying, you know, the country of Egypt, the government and like or whatever their committee is over like, you know, what do you call that? Archaeology. Okay, they want to do the study. We're going to bring our top scientists, and then who else has good scientists in the world? Oh, Germany does. Okay, let's hire them. And then they do the study. Why would they get the results and go to all that trouble and then say, okay, now we're going to trick everybody? And the race of the mummies looks like none of you. So, I mean, maybe some like Guatemalan people or something, but like, honestly, I mean, who cares? Like, okay, that's what it is. My view is that's awesome that they were able to like use like mummy or you know DNA samples from a mummy that's like 2,000 to 4,000, however old. Like that's crazy. We don't do that. Maybe we don't think we need to anyway. But obviously, you can pose it in the coffins like immediately. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm letting you know. You have a habit of finding some very sensitive people, and because of that, although they're not countering what you're saying, and trust me, I've seen you into some heated situations where they're trying to come at you, but you're saying something they don't want to
I
hear.
I have no desire to argue with people on their
Yeah, I know that.
emotions. I'm not. That's like I didn't even like doing that with like a boyfriend. I'm not going to do it with you. Like that's why would I waste my time? But if I offer the information, they want to look it up or they want to immediately like attack me. Either way, okay. Well, I did what I could. Like good luck. If you figure out that learning is like not a bad thing.
So here's the thing, and I'm not like flipping it. Um, I was debating many years ago, and I used to do fictional debates. And basically, we would debate. It's how I actually learned how to debate. And I don't know what type of fictional characters you watch, but give me a fictional movie, some superhero.
Superhero. Let's say like I'm trying to think of like probably Spider Man. It's like the one I've
Okay,
seen the
so
most.
you look at Spider-Man. What we're doing is analyzing Spider-Man from strength, speed, reaction time, durability, stamina, resistance level, and we're equating that to things. We're analyzing characters that he fought. We're analyzing things he's done, like lift a car up in a fraction of a second and threw it 2 kilometers, or how he can
He jumps
web,
like on the building, so it's cool.
like how he web slings and how fast he can shoot his webs. Reaction speed. If we know that he's fought in someone like,
That web thing is creeps me out. Though. I don't like that part.
if we know he's
Comes
fought in
out of his
someone that can
wrist.
move
Gross.
if he's fought in someone that can move at supersonic speeds, we know that he has supersonic reaction time. Or if he outpaced someone that moves at hypersonic speeds, we can match him to that. But then, of course, we also calculate what Mach speed were they moving at. Was it Mach 10, Mach
Oh
500?
my gosh.
Like, that's what I'm
Actually, you
saying.
know what? This is actually good because the
That's
maybe
how I learned
watch the
to
replay.
debate,
They'll like get it.
because we broke it down. Like, we would break it down to every attribute on a myriad of different fictional characters, and we would put them in a combat. Like, who would win between pre-crisis Superman or Captain Atom? Like, who would win between that? And then we measure their stats and then put them together. And because of that, I mean, we create a debate. And of course, what the most important thing about the debates was evidence. So we'd have to go to the comic book and show the feats. We'd have to go to that novel and show the proof, author statements. Evidence was mandatory. And
Exactly.
sometimes, if you didn't have the evidence, there'd have to be some type of power scaling that matched it. So if we
Well,
know, go
like
ahead.
in oh sorry. Oh, I was gonna say like in school when you have to write a book report, if you don't have the bibliography, don't even turn it in. Because like if you don't have your sources cited with like exactly where the hell you got it, what page and everything, you're not gonna get. You're gonna fail.
So
Like
here's
that's one of the most important things.
So another example, what we call power scaling, is sometimes maybe we don't have a direct example of Spider-Man dodging massless particles. Maybe we don't have an example of Spider-Man dodging a bolt of lightning. So we can't say, oh man, he got those reaction speeds. But then we see him reacting to a faster than light spaceship on 3 different occasions, or reacting to characters who can move faster than the speed of light and lasers that are literally defined as light speed. Now we have power scaling and we can match that. If he can fight characters that can do that, he has the reaction time to do the same thing. So there's wiggle room sometimes based off characters that he's fought consistently. This
Yeah,
is how I
well,
learned how to
you're
debate.
able to track, like you said. I mean, but that's not. I mean, and say there's two mathematicians that was tracking his speed. And one is like in junior college, and one is like has PhD in math and has all this experience and like does lectures and is like a dean or something. Like, who would you believe their figures more? The kid in college or the professional?
So
Like,
to answer your question,
obviously, so
the
yeah. I mean,
professional is who I would believe more, but I'm also going to give wiggle room because I need to look at the data because history does show us that there are some young, bright people that literally does supersede those who have been doing it for decades.
okay, but you are going to be able to like check it and like make sure that it's correct answer.
Oh, of course, we're gonna. I mean, that's the whole thing. We're gonna study. We're gonna look
Okay,
at it.
I'm
We're gonna
talking
look
about people
through
that
both
know
of them.
more than you. People that know more than you, like the experts. Like, I'm not saying
Oh,
you're
and
not,
don't
but
get me
you're
wrong.
not like writing like academic journals and papers on like scientific new accepted theory. I'm saying people that almost like tell us the new information. They find it, they create it, they work together and like the top
Oh no,
people.
no,
You know
and
what I
yeah,
mean?
trust me, I agree with you. You're gonna
So
obviously go with the people who are the more experts.
yeah, because
Um,
they're teaching you something, right? Like, and they have the authority to do it.
but this is where I equate now. Obviously, this is the minority, but this is what happens every generation. Also, like the two black girls who solved that trigonomic equation, they by no metric have the EXP or the credentials that for 200 years the dudes who specialized in this field couldn't do. So when these
Okay.
two girls barely coming out of middle school do it, you understand that every now and then in the generation there are those who are challenging the experts with a different thought process.
But okay, but we're not talking about the same thing though, because you're talking about discovering a new like
But that's what I'm saying.
answer.
That the
I'm
mental.
talking about like one that is known. Like, they're not inventing the Mach 10 speeds. They're just doing the equation and the figures to measure it, and then they give you the answer. I'm not.
Oh no,
You don't
and yeah,
know
I
that
already
other
said that.
person.
I'm agreeing with you. I did say I'm
Yeah,
agreeing with you.
that's what I'm saying. Okay, the reason why I say that is because the geneticists
Hmm.
are like the ones that tell us how genetics work.
Yeah.
So why are we saying they're lying? Why would they? And how do we have any way to check if they're lying?
Oh, you
At
asking the
some
wrong.
point, there's faith in like expertise. We don't tell the doctor how to like diagnose us. We trust what the doctor says usually. And again,
I like
check
how
the
you
source.
said usually.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with like second guessing it or even getting like second opinion or something. But
See, you
you
asking
still don't
why.
feel like the doctor should have done. You
So
will just like keep going on your like search.
you're asking. Well, so actually, to that point, like I've been having migraines since I was 4 years, probably a little less than that, since 4 years old. Chronic migraines. They're not the way they used to be, but they did used like I would black out, sun, light, sensitivity, sound would only make it worse. I'd wake up in the hospital. I'd be in the
Oh,
hospital
geez.
for days. Oh, yo, my migraines were serious.
You'd pass out
And
all the way. Oh my gosh, that's bad.
oh yeah, I'd get kid you not. Like sometimes I would vomit, but I would definitely pass out and wake up in a hospital numerous times. But
They did a CT
and
scan, I'm sure. Did you have seizures?
no, it wasn't a seizure. But they definitely checked me and basically gave me medicine for it. They said nothing was wrong outside of I was just prone to certain scenarios that triggered these level migraines. They gave me some pretty heavy medication. I forgot what it was to pretty much help with that. I kind of felt like I got addicted to it, so I had to take myself off of it.
Was it
And
opiate?
I don't remember. I was kind of young.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
I was going to ask you if you clench your jaw. Has anyone ever asked you that at night when you
huh?
sleep? Do you like clench your jaw or like grind your teeth when you sleep? That you know?
Yeah.
That causes migraines. They can make you a
Uh,
mouth guard at the dentist. You sleep with it on and you can't grind your teeth.
but part of the reason I like to work at nights also because I like generally like to stay out the sunlight. And I would have people trying to give me these suggestions on how to fix it, but I'd be like, but medical experts are literally telling me that they're in trials trying to fix it. So you're telling me you have a definitive way to treat it, but yet
No,
the
I'm
experts
saying
are
it's,
literally
well,
saying they
notice I
don't.
said go to the dentist to get a mouth guard thing. I didn't say
No, no, no,
take
not
this
you, not you,
potion.
not you.
Right, but I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm talking about experts. I rely on them. I think that,
Hey, and I'll check that out. But yeah, not you,
but
not
yeah, and
you.
it's your choice. You know what I mean? Of course, I wouldn't like, again, like
Hold
make
on. You
something.
think
Yeah,
I
I would
want
say,
these? I try to take plenty of suggestions. Trust me.
well, you'd have to go to a dentist, and then they would have to verify it or not. So you still have to kind of go. You know what I mean? You like, even if you took my advice, you'd have to get an expert's advice again. So if you call and ask them if that's the thing, and like you think you do it, and then make an appointment, if on the phone they'd be like, well, we've never heard of that. You know what I mean? Or they say, oh yeah, that's common. Or, but they, I mean, you could probably even look up the what do you call them, like the mouth guard things that they online. You can just put like brain
Yeah.
teeth, migraines, like mouth guard or something. I don't even
So
know if you can buy one, but you'd want to make sure that's what it was first, because
so
otherwise,
I so I've talked to people in the past, because I don't want you to think this is you. In the past, that have tried to give me herbs or tell me to put mustard on my neck. Bull crap. Um,
that's
I
hilarious.
kid you not. And these people would give me these advice, and I'm literally like, but you have the experts who are literally saying they don't have a way to fix this. That they're literally still, as of this year, still in trials trying to test medicine to fix the migraines. How are y'all telling me definitive ways to do it when the experts are basically telling you, dude, we trying to figure something out?
You know what? I wonder if it's because they're basically losing you as a customer by throwing in the option that maybe it's your dentist, like, to take over because they're not going to get paid anymore. But that's actually common. So maybe your particular, and I'm not saying all doctors would withhold that, so maybe some would.
I have one of my associates, his wife, um, he heard because me and him was talking, and I forgot how it came up, and I did mention what my migraines used to do, but all I mentioned was that how it put me in a hospital. He literally listed every symptom I had because his wife gets them, and he's like, his wife was like, it's the worst thing she could ever feel. It's worse than childbirth pain. Like she hates that crap. But he listed every symptom I had, and I said, oh snap, she got the same ones I get.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same outcome. The migraine is the migraine, but the way you get them can be different. You can cause, like, it could
Oh,
be,
absolutely. Trust me,
you
I
know,
know.
so the cause is just because she has them too doesn't mean.
Oh no, it's just her triggers were my triggers also. More or less sunlight, but because people would tell us, hey, stay fully hydrated, or make sure you're eating this, or make sure you're doing this, and it's like y'all don't know what y'all talking about because this crap still happens, and when it happens,
Oh,
it hurts.
have you ever thought maybe it's not the sunlight that causes it, or you do get it every time you're in the sun, but it might have been like a low grain like headache that you kind of didn't even notice. It like it exacerbated it, the
Oh, I
sunlight, because
actually
that's,
do know. Like so, I absolutely know the difference. Well, trust me, I'm been living with them for 30 years. I definitely know the difference between my headache, a sinus headache, and a migraine.
hmm
There's definitely differences,
right. I know I've had them, but I'm
and that's
asking you,
what
like, do you think
sucks.
if the sun caused it, then why doesn't the sun always cause it? Or maybe you were already like that day prone to one, and so any kind of headache, the sun makes it worse, or like a computer or
What,
something. So I was
what is
just
wrong?
saying,
I'm
like
not saying
maybe you didn't know.
when,
I was just saying, could you eliminate the sun being what caused it?
when I
And like,
say sun, I mean like when it's like hot, like 90 degrees.
oh, okay. I thought you meant the bright,
Yeah, it's definitely more heat related than anything
like
else.
heat stroke, kind of. Okay, that, yeah, that I think is kind of the more common way to get them. or like
and it never
scream.
fails to
Some
trigger.
people do that. But a lot of people, have you ever noticed like when people call into work, a lot of times they like wake up with a migraine. Have you ever noticed, or is that just me? Like
Woo. I've never woken up with one. I'll
I've
tell
never
you that.
had one. I think I've had a severe headache that I thought might be migraine, but I don't think it was because I didn't throw up or anything like that. But so I don't. But I know like have people that have had them. Like someone you meet people and they'll tell you they get them or something. But they usually, I don't know, don't they kind of get them in the night?
Lucky them.
No, so you don't. You've never like woken up with it. No, I'm just trying to
I
see
don't.
if it's
Yeah,
not from
I
your
don't wake
teeth
up with
because
them. They come.
maybe it's not your teeth then. Because wouldn't you think that if it was the people that do get them from cranes, it wouldn't be wake up with a headache or
I do. Hey. I do know that. I mean, so it just triggers differently with certain people. I can't pinpoint it. Like when you have experts that are having hard times pinpointing it. All I can go off is my own experience. But I have seen how some other people have a different way for theirs to trigger. I've had a tenant before who she woke up crying and screaming because she had a migraine. What no headache
mm,
gonna cause that level of screaming and crying?
right?
And she was like, she has some medicine, but she had never experienced this before. And I'm looking at the medicine she got, and it's like 200 milligrams. I'm like, what is this gonna do? So I went into my stash, which is 800 milligrams, and was like, take a couple of these.
Sorry, I keep like I'm like walking around, so I feel like it's loud. So I'm like, but I'm listening. Yeah. Well, what kind of medicine was that? The opiate one, or you don't know what it
Oh,
was?
no, I
I have
don't.
no idea what they give people for migraines because
They
anyway.
they definitely give people. They give people. It depends on where you're at. Trust me when I say you really can go to the store and get some. I mean, some people really do just have headaches, and they can get something small. A migraine, I definitely recommend something that at least is 650 milligrams at least. Um, but
Ibuprofen?
sometimes, huh? Yeah,
Or I think, oh yeah, that's all I take for headaches.
like it. Trust
I
me, it'll work. But
I can't. I hate opiates. They make me like very nauseous. Even like when I would have surgeries, I would just take the very minimum. Cause yeah, I'm glad like because I know they're addictive, but they make me sick. So, but
and
I mean,
and I was
not
just
saying I
using
didn't
that
have
as
any.
I was just using that as an example of like what you were talking about. Just you look at what the experts are doing, and it's like, am I going to listen to these people telling me to take some weed, or am I going to listen to the doctors?
Well, yeah, no, some doctors do recommend that.
Well, if they
Weed too.
recommended that, sure.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because they know what strains and stuff. It's not like you're just
Yeah,
going.
if they
You might still
recommended
get
that,
high,
sure.
cool, but like, yeah, there's certain like chemicals or something. I don't know how it works, but I know there's different kinds for different reasons. But I don't know. Yeah, you're right. And well, then it's just like you at least know for sure. Because the
But
thing is, if you just take someone's advice and don't research further, like you might be missing the answer. You
well,
know.
so that goes back to what you're saying and what I was talking about. I have a problem with the lack of research that goes in. I understand that you won't remember every single thing. Everybody's not going. Sometimes you're just not in the right mindset. If you're talking about Planet of the Apes and I'm thinking about anime, certain things may not click right away. But you
Right.
have the access to research something. We have too many research options to pull up some information real quick. If you don't want to do YouTube, even TikTok, I don't even recommend TikTok, but it's an information network if you use it right.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you ever noticed like you don't always remember what you learned that replaced what
yeah,
you previously thought, but you remember that that wasn't true anymore. Like you learned something else, like kind of like the evolution thing. That's how I look at it now from in the video so far. But like I'm like, okay, someone said, oh, we have this evolution from the Homo erectus, or whatever. I'd be like, oh no, we don't, and like I can find the research that shows it. I don't remember it exactly. It's been a while or whatever, but like I know that that's not true, and I know where to find out. Like and that's what, like you said, I mean, you don't have to question stuff that's like well known by experts unless like I don't know. I mean, you can. I'm not saying that, but the whole community, like scientific community, they agree on certain things because otherwise there's like no structure. So this is what we agree on, like, is the most likely right now. Like, so this is like the most up to date science, right? But I mean, if you don't trust them to make the final decision on something, then I just don't understand why anyone would strive to learn about that subject. Nobody gives a fuck what you say anyway. So why bother?
Dang. No,
Most people do
and I
care,
hear
though.
you.
That's the thing. Most people do trust experts. I mean, and not hopefully not blindly, but you know what I'm saying. Like something that's not life or death for you, or like a big decision. Like, but I mean, just to say, like, I'll use the same example. The mummies, like, okay, the mummies don't affect my day to day life. Okay, I didn't know that. Now I know. Be honest, cool. Like, we learn more about history next. Like, I don't care that much, but and I can understand if that's like maybe sensitive, but at the same time, that can relieve you of that sensitivity because you're just like, okay, well now everybody knows the truth. So moving on, like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Oh,
Ooh,
oh, you were gone. Did you hear what I said? I was talking to myself.
say that last part again. That was just
Oh,
right here.
I was just saying, like, I can understand like learning about something that you previously thought, and like, we're happy with that answer, but then like you find out something different, and you're like, well, okay, whatever. Because it's not even like you have to really think about it because it's just is like there's no point in arguing with like the scientists. Like, I mean, if everybody else believes it, most people, and just not you, you're never going to convince everybody anyway. So, I mean, like, we all have to agree on certain things.
I
Don't
don't.
you think? I mean,
I'm trying to think because I
because
do.
are there different ways to like link genetic codes? I thought they were like pretty much no matter if you don't agree on some aspects that are more like theological with genetics. Can you agree that you can get the code because they can charge people with crimes from DNA? So they must find it pretty reputable, or like you can act like it's pretty definitive when you get DNA and you can figure out the code, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, it's
I'm
like
trying to think of the
I
people
mean,
that
I
are
don't think most
looking
people
back.
argue with that, and they also know what codes create what traits. They know that enough by now. They
So
study
I'm
enough
trying to
people.
think
They know
of the.
if you have like I don't know if you're male or female. They know like what certain things about you.
So I'm trying to think of the pushback you would get back from that. Um, but I think you're. I I mean I see some of the circles that you be in. I don't really expect intellectual conversations from some of
A
these
lot of
people.
people tell me go read this book, and it's just like some random person that wrote a book. I'm like,
No.
I'm not saying it's not a good book, but I'm not going to choose that book over these top sites, no matter what that book says, because at some point the source matters. It could be an ingenious idea, but until they're a top site or whatever field, and like they're respected and agreed with, and they're like have authority to give new information, and people like you don't have to believe it, but I mean everybody in the scientific community accepts this or whatever. So
Hmm.
to me, that's just like what is so much going against the grain. Like you're the chances of whatever the
Again,
motive may be for that, getting everybody back to believing that they look a certain way, but it doesn't matter.
they
It doesn't
think
look
it's
like
an agenda,
anybody.
Blue Jay.
But it doesn't. It doesn't look like anybody else except a big mixture of everybody on the earth together. Like so, why everybody's the same in that regard? Like that's probably what the first humans looked like, in my opinion.
Blue Jay wants a
But
big
I mean, it
whole
does.
community.
That's a more like a religious view. But I
Okay.
mean, either way, my point is, it shouldn't be something that should you should blame don't blame the messenger. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And if somebody went and figured out like this was a scam and this is the proof, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, wow, that was convincing. I believe it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, no, you're wrong. Like, who the hell am I to know what's going on? I'll just look at the latest data. I'm like, okay, now everybody accepts this. Like, it's kind of like a verdict. Like, once someone's charged as guilty, like, you can do appeals, but you can't just like make them overturn. It's almost impossible, you know? So I just feel like, again, like, instead of focusing on appeals, you just get angry. Like, and I'm not using any specific like person. I'm just trying
You're
to think of the
fine.
best way I can, like, an analogy in terms of like the best action to take in a situation that may not have been ideal, but like maximizing like whatever you have access to, right? I mean, and people can even still believe that the scientists are lying. That's fine. It publicly like trying to yell at people that do believe it when it's like the majority of people. It's just kind of at that point, like purposely kind of going against grain, you know. And I mean, I don't know. I'm not. It doesn't bother me as far as like makes me angry. It just
You
makes me
do know.
confused. It makes me confused.
Okay. Yeah, be honest with yourself.
Well, be honest with myself. I've told everybody that tries to dog me exactly. I'm like, I didn't make this study. I mean, I'm open about that. I don't like perpetuate competition, and that's just one. I'm just saying, like, when people get mad at me in the chat, and it doesn't have to be about mommy. That was just one like tangible example, but it could be about politics. It could be about religion. It could be about anything. And if I state something as my opinion, or I can like point out new information, and someone gets mad at me, then I just like don't bother. I mean, what's the point, After I tell them like I'm not changing my mind or whatever, because I don't know. I like accept people's new information. Maybe that's the difference. So I'm practicing what I'm preaching.
Yeah, I see it. Do people ever ask you to change your mind?
No, maybe not like directly, but yeah, they'll say stuff like, depends on the environment. If it's people I don't know, then
Hmm.
they're usually a little bit more like brief, they'll be like, oh, you're just saying that, like, because you're colonizing and you got
Oh,
whitewash
yeah. Okay.
history. They'll say whitewash, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I mean, there's a small chance that that's true, but Egypt did the study. Like, they're not trying to whitewash or colonize it themselves. Like, that's the part that I'm like, why wouldn't you trust them? They wanted to know what was going on with their mummies, and like, so they're sharing information with the world that has been like a mystery. So we're going to be like, no, you're wrong. I mean, I think that's like, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, that's been on your mind for a minute.
No, I'm just trying to explain my example because, you asked me like if I ever got pushed back for what, and that was like one example I could think of because, again, I mean, I wasn't giving an opinion. I wasn't even, again, if it came back that the mummies were like really dark skin, I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, that's what the mummies look like. Like, I don't care. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, once the experts tell you, why is it so important to care that much? I mean, how does that affect anybody? And that's my only point. So, like, when people, like we were saying, if people don't want to accept new information, that's a choice, but they're really kind of doing themselves like a disservice.
Yeah, I don't think they see that though. Let me
Well,
revert
I
that.
mean,
I don't
people
think they see
oftentimes will just react, but then they will actually think about it later and maybe like go look up your information that you told them or ask somebody that they kind of trust, like, hey, have you ever heard of this? Or I think that it does kind of spark curiosity when we like challenge each other, but it has to be in respect and it can't. I just don't. I think when you give your opinion and somebody starts kind of getting offended by it, the best thing is just to like kind of disengage because they only prompted their opinion first because it's like a little bit I don't know how to explain it. Like it's irrelevant to the
And this is
argument. But
and this is how
they
Blue Jean started her channel.
why?
So you wouldn't get those conversations no more.
No, more so like so that I can focus on subjects that I feel like I'll learn stuff. Like it's not the I mean I handle myself fine in the chats. I still go in chats all the
And
time.
maybe you can
But
teach stuff
it's just
too.
more like yeah, exactly. I mean I try to make sure it's like I've researched a little bit and and like some of it I've previously known of course, but like I feel like time, especially like spare time, is kind of all time's valuable. But if you can be learning something and like I don't know, I think that's just like healthier for me personally.
Is that why you're going back to school too?
Well, no, part of it. I mean, I could probably learn a lot of that stuff on my own. I'm going back to school so I can get licensed. But yeah, I
You don't
just
need
kind
no
of like
license, Blue Jay.
well, like a social, I mean, like a
You're
I'm a
blonde and you're
therapist.
pretty. You don't need no license.
No, that's not how that works. Um, no, like a licensed therapist. You have to have the credentials and like do a residency type thing. So that's more so because that's what I want to do for a career, not because I want to learn about it. I I'm interested in the subject. I'm just saying I could probably, like I said, learn on my own, but not if you want to be see patients.
Have you taken steps to learn some of that on your own?
Yeah, it's a subject I've always been curious about. So the program is only 2 years. 'Cause I have my bachelor's, so it's a master's, so it's just like, and then it ends up being about three. So I mean, it's not too bad.
Are you, is your current job what you got your degree for?
Yeah, my second degree, I did like um international business, and then I did. It's equivalent to a bachelor's in interior design, but I only had to do 2 years because I had already done the first generals. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last like 9 years. Well, before that actually, but then I took like a break from it. So probably yeah, 10 years ish. And I'm just kind of tired of it. I mean, it's I just feel like I want to do something else. I don't know. Some of the people tend to be like really pretentious in the field, and um, yeah, I get tired of um, like this is the I don't know. You kind of have like a few fabric stores, a few different. Then you have your trade accounts, but it's kind of like the same people, and I don't know. I just don't like a lot of people. Okay, let me just say it.
Okay.
And people
No,
start
I
to get on
got
my
you.
nerves after a while, but I just don't feel like that's something I would want to do as I get like old too. If I want to work, it's like sitting in an office and like talk to people.
What
But
did your
like
daughter go to
interior
school for?
design is it's like hands on.
What did your daughter go to school for, if I may ask?
I kind of rather not talk about her. Like I don't know. I just kind of like she's my daughter, so nobody. I just said she got married, which she did, but I don't know. I think she did general studies for so far. The school's not. She's not too concerned about the degree. I mean, she is, but
Okay.
okay, so, like she's doing like computer design, like basically like graphic
Okay.
design type stuff.
No,
But
look, I got
I
you.
mean, I just told her like then when you're a mom, you can like still do that if you want because it's her idea. I didn't tell her to do it, but I'm just saying when she told me that, I told her I thought that would be like a wise choice. So, and if she's interested, that's one field you have to be interested in because otherwise it's like nobody. If you don't like sitting at a computer like that, then it's not the right job, right? So Just depends on the people, but um, yeah. So anyway, I she's yeah, she'll probably do it over time, but and she was always like in honors classes, like AP, all that stuff.
Hated
She's
those
very
classes.
smart. She did go to college right after, but I guess in my family maybe it is like more value is placed on like getting married and having like a family. Maybe I don't know. It's Utah, you know how it is here. So I guess people don't really think of it as much for girls. So I don't know.
I went to college right after high school, but I only stayed a year. The first
Yeah.
go around. I went back years later, but we had family issues and someone had to take care of my brother and sister. And then I was also working. So I just did not put that much time and energy into school. And for what it's worth, my mom felt like she was responsible for it. So she ended up paying off that first year.
Oh well, with now like in your younger, I think that it's becoming more optional. And that's kind of how I feel for her too. I mean, as far as like college learning, I mean, you have to get to be an expert at something eventually, but or that should be the goal. But like for instance, I mean, my like first husband, the one I had kids with, like he never finished college. I just did because I like wanted to, but and he makes like way more money than me, so I mean that doesn't necessarily
We know
matter.
you balling Blue Jay.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
Big
honestly not.
money Blue Jay.
No, I just like live a very minimal life. I mean, to be honest, like I just kind of like pay rent, and
Man,
and
Blue
then
Jay,
that's
your house,
about it.
your place look like it's like 100 grand a year.
No, it's rent. It's like, ridiculous. Like I'm in a no. Honestly, like I'm kind of tired of this place. Actually, I had this shoot. Not like the shooting will happen again, but you know what I mean. And then it's like the loft thing's really hot in the summer. It's like can't really go up there, so that's waste space. Like I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of it. Man, but yeah. So no, I mean honestly, I have like been materialistic in my life. I'm not gonna lie, like, but I don't really feel like that. I think freedom is better, but I mean, you do have to have somebody have freedom too.
Yeah, I
Would
agree.
you
Oh, I
rather,
agree.
would you rather be rich or would you rather have like time, like every day you just like do what you want?
I mean, I feel like if you're rich, you can make time.
Not necessarily. Most rich people are very busy and stressed out.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that personally. But I honestly think the people I watch are bad with their money. Also, they've
Yeah, I mean,
they upgraded. Hey, they upgraded their lifestyle. My bad, cat just going off.
I know your cat looks scary the other day in the video. I'm like, whoa, looks like a little wolf or something for some reason. I think it was just the lighting on the camera. But no, it's
Um,
cute. I like cats. But what were you at? Oh yeah, if you'd rather. Oh, you said if you're stressed out or
I've
not.
seen it. Like I personally feel like, well, because it's me. You're asking me, I definitely would rather be rich, just because I understand that I can make time, and I've seen particular areas that I don't really take things for granted per se. I know I'm not about to get no big house. I know I'm not about to get no big car. I know I'm not about to go spending whatever, but it's a resource that I would like to multiply while also managing where I'm at to still do the things that I want.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Well, I think it's also like preparing for the future that you'll have. That's the kind of when you'll have that freedom. So it's not like you're planning on being stressed out forever. So I think people view it as like buckle down and work hard, and then you'll like reap the rewards or whatever. But I think that's more of a man like mindset too. But women like men that have that mindset. So you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't live where I used to, but I definitely do think some people take how they live for granted. I have been in a place or one floor home where we had no windows, no door, no electricity, brown water, woke up next to a different bug. Like,
No windows, no door.
yeah, I'm saying I have lived in some interesting places. I have lived and fought with with the mice and just the rodents. You
Oh my
know,
god.
imagine trying to make baby milk for your brother, but you got to fight off a rat in order to give it. Like,
Oh my gosh, die rats. I can't even do
no,
mice.
I'm
Like
just
I
saying,
hate
like, I
them.
have,
I don't know. I'm saying you're brave because I'd leave.
and again, like, I have lived in some dingy place. I know I've slept next to, we've slept next to a trash can because we ain't got nowhere else to go. Like, so,
Okay, so the house wasn't like a rental that like passed inspection. It was more like abandoned, like temporary
oh, these
tenancy.
are three different places. My bad. These are three
What?
different
Oh,
places.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm talking about the place with no windows and no door.
No, it wasn't a rental. They got it. They was just
Okay.
up to us to fix it, but
It wasn't like a landlord was just like cool with that
nope,
though. Okay,
nope.
that's good at least.
Um, yes, I trust me. I've seen some places, and I know that
That's crazy though.
I'm not sitting here trying to go big on anything like that at all. I mean, y'all can see my micro expressions. I'm literally shaking my head no, because I'm not, that's not me. I know how to save money. I know that I don't want to go traveling all over. I'm not just trying to waste it. Money is a resource. Try to multiply it so you can do the things that you want.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, it takes discipline, but it also takes like if you're not the type of person that loves shopping and loves like flashy things anyway, then it makes it easier. So that's an advantage. Because like I mean, say you would just like want to focus more on like buying supplies for like your digital creations or something. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Some people are more interested in things that keep making money, where some people like just wait like spend it on like literally like useless things like depreciative items.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't got
guilty
those
of that
good clothes
sometimes.
like
I've
Blue Joe.
definitely no, I've been like a shopper before, and what I noticed, I'm kind of like dealing with this now because I had like um all my stuff from the other place I moved from, brought it to the new place that I'm at, and it's a little smaller. So like I didn't really, it just felt like my stuff was like owning me, trying to get rid of it and trying to figure out where to put what, and like it sucked. Like, and then I'm like, this is my like my karma punishment or whatever because like I just now my stuff is a burden. Are you there? I
Yeah,
see
I'm
you
here. I'm
talk.
listening.
Oh, okay, okay. I was like, oh my gosh, he walked away again. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
No, no, no. I'm listening.
But yeah, so I mean, I can't say that I haven't been irresponsible like that, but I think sometimes people do that and then they realize it's like not what they thought, or you know what I mean.
This is about to sound funny because I brought it up before, but you've seen the original Planet of the Apes?
No, I haven't seen any of those.
Oh, okay. None of them?
No, I think I've seen
Interesting.
like clips of Tarzan, but like no, I'm not really
Not,
into
I
that
know
kind of
you
stuff.
didn't just say Tarzan.
I said I've seen clips of it, like people like put it in memes, like the eating the lady or whatever he's doing, but like and or where it's a real gorilla. Did you know there? It's not a like a robot kind of thing. It's like you probably know that if you've seen them all, but and it's gigantic. How did they
So
get
you
it
ever,
to act in the movie? I don't understand how they could like get it to participate.
so, okay, I'm curious. So you saw RoboCop?
Mm-mm,
Not RoboCop. Jaws?
mm-mm,
No, not Jaws.
no.
Back to the Future?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I've seen
okay,
that many
okay,
times.
okay.
That was a good movie.
Don't tell mom the
I saw
babysitter's
that
dead.
car somewhere. It was at a car show. Where did I see that damn car? But anyway, I went to
Don't
Park
tell
really
mom the
fast.
babysitter's dead.
Yeah, I liked that movie too.
Okay, I'm adapting myself. Cocktail.
I've never seen that.
Okay, no, maybe. I mean, you old enough.
Well,
I ain't
when I
gonna
was a
call.
kid, I was kind of since my I wasn't allowed to just like watch very many things.
Okay,
So like maybe
when
those
did you
other ones were
stop
like
being a kid?
scary or killing and stuff like that. I like wouldn't have been shown that movie. So
When did you stop
what?
being a kid?
Well, actually, when I go to my grandma's house, she had like tons of VHS, and you know, like later I realized
Sound
like
like my
she
grandma.
like straight up like burned that onto like a blank tape. My grandma was like copyright, you know, but I mean, she didn't probably like from the cable or whatever, you know. I don't know that it was a huge ass crime then, but anyway. But anyway, she'd label them and stuff. So I started watching like
Grandma
my
had that black
sister and
box.
my wait no, she just like well, I mean maybe I'm sure she kind of knew, but I don't think she'd have put them on display or else for everybody to see. She thought it was like so horrible. Like I think a lot of people did that, and now they realize like that's really stealing, right? But then it wasn't like as big of a thing. But anyway, like my cousin, we watched it because we kind of just would like be able to watch movies without anybody supervising. We just go down to the library thing and like pick one scary one. And we'd watch Tales of the Crypt, stuff like that. But that was probably like I was like beginning of junior high, maybe. It's like so. I think those other movies would have been when I was younger than that. I'm not sure.
We
But
don't
anyway,
hear
no.
you
I
talk
mean,
about grandma.
yeah, my grandma was funny. She like always had a beer in her hand. Like she's that's not my dad's side. You know, my dad's side was always like kind of more. They were actually very liberal. My dad was born in California, so and then you know they were just a Democrat and they like drink and party and like that kind of thing. And my mom's side was different. So that's what I'm saying. I've kind of been exposed to two different. So when you're asking me who I emulate, it's hard even to say because pretty much anything I do, whether it's good or bad, would fall in the middle. But you know, okay, let me use this example. When I think back, if my parents had stayed married, they got divorced when I was 5, I think my life would be worse. That they were just obviously not a good match. Like that's evident. But they would just kind of fought, and I would have been more dysfunction. I think so. I mean, I don't know that people shouldn't try to make things work, but it doesn't always end up better for the kids.
I agree.
It,
I agree.
you know. So
But if
yeah,
you,
I mean, I guess that's why they say choose better or whatever, you know. But I don't really necessarily
I
think that
can't tell people that personally. I
it's
can't tell
done.
people that.
You can't predict everything. Like you can
And
only
that's
go off of
why.
how they're acting right then. I mean,
Yeah, I can't tell people that. I can be like, "Dag, man, I'm sorry that happened to you. The next time it'll be better." But I can't sit there and be like, "You should have known she was gonna do this."
right?
Like I
Exactly.
can't tell them that.
And there's two
Like,
sides
oh,
to
you
every
should have vetted
story.
her
She might
better.
have a totally different story. Like everybody's gonna tell their story, like on shed positive light on them, you know. But I mean, she might have a completely different view of why they got divorced. Who knows? It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. The point is, it's just okay. Well, like hopefully, like learn things from it. That's pretty much all you can really hope to do. It's like, okay, I didn't know this about relationships, or like maybe if I would have paid attention to this or whatever, like then if it comes around again, you can avoid it. But I mean, that's about it. I just thought, yeah,
yeah. Like I'm
it's
honestly just,
interesting.
I'm not a fan of that. Cannot tell people that. Just you tried for a situation. Of course, you listen to the conversations online, and they're basically like, the second you saw a red flag, you should have dumped her. And
I
it's like,
know,
dang,
and the red flag might be something that seems trivial. Like,
exactly.
like you could say that about anything. Yeah, I don't agree with them when they do that because it's like they're not even giving you all they're doing is making you feel worse. Like they're not talking about the future. You should have chose better. Well, I chose, and whether it was my fault or hers, it doesn't matter. Like it's done. So what's the point of that comment? Like, I'm not saying people say to me they don't, but when they do, I hear that.
No, I'm with you. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even know that they're not going to get divorced. That's what I always find interesting. Because sometimes people will be like, they'll be married and they'll be giving advice from the married perspective, which is fine. But, then the way that they make things sound is that their marriage is infallible. And it's like, you could have been married 3 years, but I mean, okay, like, it doesn't mean that you're safe from ever getting divorced, you know? So I think that nobody knows anything for sure. I mean,
I'm gonna
since
say
you do
that
give advice, keep it positive at least.
if I was to listen to my grandma and her 30-year marriage, she would tell me marriage sucks.
How do you know what she'd say?
Oh, because she told me.
Was
She
this
like she tells
the
me
one
straight
with
up,
your mom? Is this your mom's mom then? Like
grandma.
the okay, but you
Oh
trust
yeah,
her
my
opinion?
mom's mom.
She seems negative about a lot of things. So I mean,
Yeah, but that's why when I'm listening to people and they're like, okay, well, take advice from, and when they're talking about like married people, well, hey, this person's been married for 20 years. You should listen to their advice. And I just think, but if I'm listening to my grandma, she's not giving me this positive advice. She's ready to
it's just
poison her
like
husband when he in his sleep. Huh?
she did. She tried that for real, or she said she wanted to.
No, no, no. I'm just saying it comes off like she's about to.
Oh, well,
That
I
she
mean,
don't have
yeah,
nothing positive to say about her husband.
yeah. Well, it sounds like she doesn't have a lot of positive things to say sometimes about your mom, and you do. So you know that her opinion's not really very valid. She views everything through a dark lens, like looking for the bad. So at that point, I mean,
To
I think
be
we should just take
fair,
advice. We should take advice from people that we would be okay with being more
to
like, if
be
not.
fair, she is a very different person now than what she was. Like even my mom will tell you that my grandmother treats her grandchildren infinitely better than she's ever treated her own children.
Okay. But did she
She's
still say marriage sucks?
Say it again.
Does she still say that now that she's happier?
Oh yeah, she actually just said it like a week ago. Her mom treats us better than she's ever treated her. She definitely says that she's a far better grandmother than she's ever been a mother.
It's quite a bit easier.
Say it again.
It's quite a bit easier to be a grandparent than it is a parent.
I can, yeah. You about to find out, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, who knows how long
Aren't
though.
you happy that you gonna be a grandma soon?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I think people like see it. I don't know. I guess if I was like an old grandma, probably not. But like I said, I mean, I was like 20 when I had her, so of course, I'm gonna have like a grandchild younger, especially if she gets married young, which she did, and I'm like actually very happy about that. So there's no negative way for me to view that if you know what I mean. But it's like the stipulation or the stigma. I mean, I just don't really. It doesn't bother me. Like my mom
I
was a
don't really
grandma at
think you have a
39.
stigma.
Like
I
you
think
would see a 39-year-old and be like, they can look fly. But if she had a grandchild, it wouldn't make her all of a sudden look like a grandma or be act like a grandma. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe being in Utah, it's different. People are like usually in their 40s when they like their kid gets married and has a kid. So I mean, she's barely. I don't know. But yeah, I love babies. I love that baby so much. So yeah, for sure. Babies are. Do you think babies are cute, or is that like just like a more of a woman thing?
all right, Blue Jay. I gotta
Did you
leave
not?
you.
Can you not hear me?
I didn't hear that last part. What'd you say?
Oh, I just said, do you think babies are cute, or is that like a woman thing?
Oh, I gotta leave you, Blue Jay.
Oh, okay. I thought you had to get off the stream. I'm like, okay. I know. I know. I've accepted that.
I'm home. I'm gonna take a shower, and then I'm taking a nap.
Right on. Cool. Well, thank you for having this conversation with me. It's fun.
No, you're fine. I told Blue Jay, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. And then
We're gonna try
yeah,
to keep.
I'll just.
I'm gonna help you build your platform. I got you.
That's cool. I appreciate that. But I mean, to be honest, I'm just kind of carefree about it. It's not like I don't know. If people want to come around, then they can. If they don't, fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's
Blue,
all good.
you just getting started. You trust me. We and you got some good topics. Today was just a free for all,
Well, let me see if I can.
but
Okay, this is really dark. Hold on. I gotta go. I didn't even realize, like, but I just don't really like sitting in the chair, especially that bar. So I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm sitting here for like hours. No way. Because I had to come down where it's like not above like 80 degrees. Anyway, hold on one second. I'm on a different device now, so I don't know. Let me try it. Okay, let's see. I can't really like prop it, but anyway, I'll just hold it. So yeah, okay. Well, what happened? What happened to that? This is a shit show. Okay, I'm so done with this like technology at the moment.
look at
But
three
yeah,
hours.
well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'll just.
I mean, this 3 hours of content, y'all. So make sure you hit that like button. Probably learned a little bit about me, but covered different topics. Y'all want to jump in? Drop it in the comment section. Definitely, give us your opinions. Not sure when y'all will see this video, but when y'all do, make sure you drop a comment. I'm looking forward to hearing what y'all got to say as we watch Blue Jay get her stuff together.
Okay, sorry about that, Lionel. Hopefully you can hear me. My iPad died, so of course. Anyway, okay, thank you for coming up. That was awesome. I'll see you guys soon.